Welcome everybody to the Sigma Alliance podcast, The Future Whales. I'm Brenda Macabo from Sigma and Gamma, the Alliance community of guilds. With me today are Face 66.
Hi, I'm from.
It's a Gamma heavy day here. We got Sith Knight X Zone.
Hey guys, Sigma Alpha.
And we have Thane Carell from.
I am from the Alliance Omicron.
Aelin.
Sigma Sith Lords.
Bunch of hot news here from the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes updates. The big thing on our minds is Mother Talsin and the new Nightsisters. So yeah, Talsin guys.
Yep, she seems like she's really gonna maybe make the Nightsisters viable in. I'm kind of hesitant to say viable in Arena, but maybe. Who knows?
Make the Nightsisters great again.
You mean for the first time?
What?
Yeah. I like to put a Trump-like spin on it, make the Nightsisters great again. Mags.
Well, they had to be great. Had to be great once to be great again.
Oh yeah, right.
They're like, make them great again. I'm like, you mean for the first time ever?
Look, the Nightsisters have very many great things going for them now, and
yeah, with that whole the plague or whatever.
Mother Talsin is the beginning of that with her plague. So, what do you guys think about this plague in general? The plague
It
mechanic?
seems interesting. The only thing that it put in my head was I wish the Bounty Hunter's Resolve or whatever on Boba Fett, not to shove my Bounty Hunters in every conversation, but I wish it was kind of like the same thing. But
not even 2 minutes in, and you're already propaganda.
But back to Nightsisters. I really think it's interesting that it's kind of like a faction-specific debuff almost.
I had a thought on the plague mechanic actually. For working with other characters other than Nightsisters. The plague mechanic is really good because her second ability, which has a cooldown of 4, places plague on everybody essentially. And does a bunch of damage as well. But that's a debuff. She's placing a debuff on everybody. Think about the amount of characters that benefit in this game from having a debuff on the enemy team, right? Nihilus.
It could work well with Nihilus, yep.
Yep, Nihilus can then immediately go into reducing the cooldowns after that.
Is that the same bit that goes through protection?
Yeah, it does. Yep. All of her abilities go through.
Right? That's in my mind the biggest thing that they have going for them. Like, whoa, no protection.
Yep.
Because Gear 12 is huge protection. Kenobi's like 80k and stuff. So, man, if you could work around that protection, that could be money.
Well, and that brings up the idea of working her into a Sith team as well, perhaps, with Sith Assassin as Trooper.
So, like a potential theory craft here, maybe, with Savage, he can insta-kill someone just based off their health amount. So Sith Assassin ignores protection, Sith Trooper ignores protection, and now Talsin also ignores protection. The three of them with, say, Savage and one Sith leader or other strong leader to...
well, that's already 5 that you named off.
No, Savage, Sith Trooper, Sith Assassin...
I think you're better off just going with Darth Nihilus as the third one. That way, in case you need to get around a taunt or whatever, because the damage from Sith Trooper is kind of negligible anyway. So you're better off getting through their buffs.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion.
You do make a very good point with Savage though, because you don't have to got the protection. It's just half their health, and then you can insta kill them.
Yeah, you could just dunk people. And I run Sith Assassin at Gear 12, and I already one-shot Wedge and people like that. So I can't even
imagine. So here's a thought I had. Imagine Mother Talsin going first, having an auto-taunter on that same team, right? And have Mother Talsin go first, because we're talking about going up against a meta that's purely, Commander Luke, right? So my thought is Darth Maul could probably go first and put daze on everybody. Then you could have Night Mother Talsin go after that, and then you could have Darth Nihilus go.
I mean, I'm saying if I would go with the strat I mentioned with Sith Assassin and Savage to just go for the get the health down to 50 and then use Savage to insta-kill, I would rather have Sith Assassin going first to boost the turn meter.
Yeah, if you're doing that, what do you think about the idea of having a Darth Maul in the Sith team instead of Savage for that day?
No. Maul and Savage, remember, they both just a theory here. Maybe they do get a Nightsister tag because they kind of are, just possible.
Savage might get. I don't know. I think what they might do in the future is they might actually do a Dathomir thing I don't know though. I don't think that's anytime soon. But they could do a Dathomir, and then they could make the Nightsisters Dathomirian, and they could make the Night Brothers Dathomirian.
The Dathomaniacs are just fiending to get some cross tagging.
Okay, so how many Nightsisters is it going to take to go with Talsin to keep them all alive? Like, you know how they die and they come back? So how many is it going to take to do that successfully, do we think?
I think you could run a team of 4.
Of 3, maybe?
I'd say 3 would be decent.
I don't know,
Maybe
because
Daka and
you need
Asajj.
you
Ignoring
need
the
Daka, Asajj.
Yeah.
And Talsin, right? Well, I was thinking Daka, Asajj, Talsin, and then you could run, you know, like you said, Sith Assassin and Savage, and that could be pretty cool.
I don't know. I feel like you need to run a tank.
Because that's really hard. Well, Sith Assassin is very, like, self-sufficient, really hard to kill. Savage is really hard to kill, so there's not really a good person to target, even if it's not a tank.
Yeah,
Well,
I guess
think the tank would only really apply in arena.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think you'd even need a tank in arena, because think about it. Savage, he's already invincible. Sith Assassin's going to be under stealth
He's
most
not.
of the game. Well, he's hard to kill, you know what I mean.
I would target him immediately with Thrawn.
Nobody hits him first.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
would.
Savage, hard to kill, and even if you focus him down, you have everyone else to deal with. Sith Assassin, she's just going to be under stealth for a lot of the game. And the Nightsisters, they're all going to be reviving with basic attacks.
And she gets, what do you call it, foresight all the time, too. So even when she's out of stealth, she's still hard to hit.
Yeah, I could see. I don't know. I could see Nihilus instead of Savage because I think Nihilus is key to a lot of victories in arena.
Problem is that everybody is going to target him first because he's super vulnerable.
I would say instead of Nihilus, I would have both Sith Assassin and Sith Trooper on that team.
Oh, Sith Assassin and Sith Trooper.
Yeah, I should have my Trooper at Gear 12 today. I want to try it out. He doesn't do a lot of damage, like even on a good crit or whatever, under 10k. Like,
About damage with him, he just is hitting constantly. He's constantly firing, and
but I'm just saying, as far as that combo goes, it's a sustained damage combo. It's like a lightning and then dunk, and they're dead. You don't want to, take your time on it. It's boom, boom, done. One punch.
What do you guys think about R2D2 on a Nightsisters team? Forcing someone to kill a specific character.
Get your
I'd be
light side
surprised
junk
if-
out of here.
Yeah,
It's not already
No, I'm
tagged.
serious.
Shocked if R2 ended up getting a Nightsister tag as well, since he has every other tag.
No, but seriously though, I think like because you don't have a tank, and you do actually kind of want specific Nightsisters to die first. Like for instance, you would want old Daka to die, so that on the basic she can attack. She can come in as the extra attack. You know what I'm saying?
So did we coin that term graveyard or what? I heard mobile
Yeah.
gamers say it, and I feel like that's
I
a
mean,
good term.
yeah, I relate it to a kind of like Magic or other CCG games like that. like-
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You have your graveyard.
Yeah,
and
right.
You can
Because they're
yeah.
dead, but they can come back.
Yeah, you
so they
can-
got to be somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a pretty valid. Like that's what Magic is. Just what popped in my head when I heard of that. So I don't know about the just that you said you want Daka to die, for example. I don't really know about that.
The reason I say that is because think about it. I
Yeah,
think it's
because of her
Talsin.
basic. Yeah, it's cool. But I'm saying I'd rather have her. I'd rather have
because-
her. No, I'd rather have her still on the team because of her unique that gives allies offense up and defense up.
You know, that's a good unique, but Asajj you want alive because she's your main damage dealer, and obviously you want to keep Talsin up all the time.
And you want somebody to die,
Yeah, and so Daka's the best choice to die because
I mean,
Shut
I don't
up,
think you
basic being
want
great.
someone to die.
No, yes you do. Yes you do. Because Asajj's thing works for allies and enemies. When they die, that's when her stacks go up.
exactly, and then
So
you
that's
can
the-
always
that's the
bring
whole
her
mechanic.
back.
You want your people to die over and over, and then it buffs Asajj more and more.
Well,
Yeah,
I feel
like,
like
you
feel
can-
like if that's what you're going for, a full team of 5 Nightsisters would be monstrous. If that's what you want to try to do.
Let's talk about the full Nightsister squad in arena and what we think that would look like. What Nightsisters fit in. What Nightsisters we're gonna just never use. All that kind of stuff. Let's start. Why don't we start with Brendo?
Well, my first instinct is that I would probably never use Nightsister Initiate. I think Acolyte and Initiate are going to be better for raids. But I don't know. I think out of all of them, my easiest cut would be Initiate. At least Acolyte, decent DPS going, and with stealth, that'll be a nice pull. I still think the new Nightsisters are going to be much better for PvP. and I think we'll probably cut out the old ones, except for Asajj and to some extent.
So you're saying you think it's gonna be an old Daka and Asajj, a Talsin lead with the two Ghost, or not Ghost, but Spirit and Zombie. That's the team that you're thinking?
Well, I mean, I think if I was just right now off the cuff theory crafting, I'd say probably Asajj, Talsin, Spirit, Zombie for the tank factor, and I guess Acolyte, because I like stealth.
You're dropping out Daka for Acolyte?
So no Daka.
I'd rather have Daka in there because, first of all, she can revive a lot. She has healing. She can pretty much give them a lot more survivability than they already have, which is insane. And there's the double stun on her basic. I think is too valuable to lose.
Do you think that the tank has sort of initiate pointless, because you don't really need stealth if you've got a tank that's always taunting all the time and never dying?
Yeah, I think the old Nightsisters besides Asajj and Daka are pretty much useless unless you're using them for the event. Maybe they'll have a niche or something, but
So how do we think this team is going to work in Arena face up against different meta squads?
I mean, I feel like it'll completely, from my personal perspective, it's going to roll CLS. Like, I think CLS is a chance.
Explain how it's going to combo against them.
Like, for example, CLS is really focused on, Commander Luke himself and Han especially, they're really focused on single target damage, and they're pretty much always going to be forced to target Zombie. And whenever Zombie dies, she's going to be revived if you're running a Nightsister squad every single time. So she's going to be literally impossible to kill against a CLS or Han. For example, if you had more of an AoE-based teams, you could slowly chip down everyone at once. But if you're only allowed to focus one person at a time, and that person is Zombie, Zombie's invincible. There's no way to kill Zombie.
Here's the thing that I think. That I'll say is that I do believe that it's going to be very strong on offense against Luke, but on defense, does Luke not apply ability block with his special attack?
And he also does buff immunity, which is a pain in the ass.
So he does buff immunity and ability block, and on top of that, most Commander Luke teams run R2D2 for the stun. So here's what I'm thinking is a very easy counter: is make Luke go first, put that buff immunity on the tank, stun her, then just wipe other Nightsisters out essentially.
Yeah, but think about this: how does Luke go first? It's impossible for Luke to be faster than Asajj. There's zero.
But it doesn't matter, because how is Asajj going to stop Luke from going?
Asajj does have a stun on her basic.
It's very.
It's a 50% chance though for the stun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
He gets the stun off, that's one thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the thing with Zombie is that you don't want to kill her, because if she kills her, she's going to keep resurrecting. She's going to keep taunting. But if you could keep her alive with buff immunity, she's going to essentially be neutered. So
that's the way to do it.
If she's there and can't get her taunt and isn't dying and coming back, then you just chip away somebody else.
Well, that's why I'm saying you have to stun her with R2D2, because if she gets to attack, she'll remove
it's not even
that
attacking.
buff
It's just at the end of her turn.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
if she gets
so what he's saying is this: if he has buff immunity, she never puts taunt up. That's it. So yeah, at the end of her turn,
no, that's not true.
Nothing comes up.
That's not true.
The only way that she removes it is by using her special ability when they're at 100%, and then it removes all buffs on itself. It's not from the basic attack.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is in the beginning of the match, that's exactly what she'll do if you don't stun her. And so the buff immunity you just placed on her head is pointless if you don't stun her before she gets to take a turn.
So I like the footage, and you can see when they fight against CLS, they typically win, and they just get the beatdown for the first minute and a half or whatever. But that plague starts to stack up, and then somebody dies, and then they come back, and next thing you know, everybody just falls dead on the other team.
Yeah, it's not meant to it's not a quick fight just to wipe everyone out instantly. It's almost like almost like an offensive attrition where it's just so insanely hard to wipe them all out, because even if you do wipe them out, they're gonna keep reviving, especially in the case of Zombie. And
yeah, but you have to be tactical about it, and that's why I think
I don't think
really.
you do though.
Not really.
I think that's the whole point
about
of
fighting them. I mean, about
fighting them. Of
yeah.
course you do, yeah. Because who do you take out though? That's the thing. Talsin is
Asajj.
I'm saying Talsin is gonna be extremely annoying because she does plague. Daka's gonna be stunning and she's gonna be healing a lot. And I believe she has a cleanse if I'm not mistaken. Asajj is just
Possibly.
gonna be an insanely high damage dealer. Same with Spirit. And Izami is just gonna be you're not even supposed to touch a zombie if you can.
I think Spirit might be the removable one. Like if I run Nightsisters, I'm not going to go Spirit because I just don't think she fits into it as well. I think she's going to be better for PvE stuff.
Talia
She's
might
really
make
more damage
sense.
only.
Yeah,
Right?
Talia.
She's
Yeah.
just more
because
high
Talia,
DPS.
Talia does have a really powerful cleanse and healing. So I
And
feel
think
like
about
Talia
think
would be
about
a
the
nice
team.
one to
You know,
shove in
like
there.
we said, you're not like pew pew, somebody's dead. Like that doesn't happen at all. You kind of get beat down for the beginning because you don't really do a lot of damage. You just need to stack the plague and let it go.
But the interesting thing about the what is it, Ghost? I'm just gonna call her Ghost.
Yeah, go for it.
What interesting thing about the Ghost is that she adds, I think, a much needed control mechanic to the Night Sisters. Right? She removes buffs and stuns people at the same time. That's really, really good. Like that works against so many characters in the meta right now. It's not even funny. Remove all buffs and then stun.
I mean, I think you're going to find the Night Sisters are going to be really, really good. I just don't know. I mean, like, watching the videos, they struggled the hardest with the New Hope characters more than any of the other meta teams. And that's the meta that's in right now.
Today we got footage of CLS and a whole bunch of meta teams going fighting against the Night Sisters, and the CLS team did not struggle at all against the Night Sisters. It comes down to being able to, like they were saying, like put buff immunity on zombie, stunning Daka or Mother Talsin, taking out Mother Talsin, old Daka, and then the whole team just falls apart.
Yeah, it seems like really easy to beat on defense, honestly, for a lot of these teams. However, for some people who don't understand how to go about doing it, it's going to be annoying to face. I think it's going to come in, and I think it's going to, like I said, I think it's going to become part of the meta. It's not going to change the meta. It's going to become part of it, and it's going to be kind of annoying to face for people who don't really understand how to attack it, right? Because if you don't get that you have to put buff immunity up and then you have to kill this person first and that person next, then you're going to be, beating your head against a wall every time you face them for a little while until you figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be kind of the dark side resistance almost.
I think they're better than Resistance.
I was watching in the video, like you see them struggle against like Gar Saxon teams and just a bunch of other like non-meta teams, even like a Thrawn-led team. You see them struggling against all these other teams that are basically PvE teams, and you see them struggling on defense. So this whole overhyped about them being like this really great defensive team just doesn't seem to be true.
That was what they sold Night Sisters as, was that they were going to be this defensive powerhouse. And I mean, I just don't see it. And the other thing that kind of gets me is just how many obvious counters there are. Like Gar Saxon lead, a wedge lead of all things might even be able to out heal them. That I'd have to see that in action. But Kylo Ren is going to just tear them apart. Varys. And any random healer you could think of, really.
It only takes so many stacks to drop people, though, so they got to be able to heal to full.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Barris doesn't heal anybody to full, is what I'm saying. She's an equalizer, so they're not going to be full. They're still going to have plague. Does that make sense, though? If you use Barris, they're still not going to drop plague stacks.
I understand how her heal works. The thing is, if you have Barris and Luminara, I mean, it's essentially...
Who's going to do that?
Wait, you guys are missing a point, though. The plague can one-shot you. You can just die from plague in one turn.
Yeah, if you have like
It goes
5
through your
plagues on top of you...
So Kylo, it doesn't matter. If he has 7 stacks, he's like, okay, it's my turn. He just falls dead.
Yep.
If someone... The point of this team is if someone messes up a little bit, okay, just a little, if they mess up one move, it screws them completely. Can the team be ripped apart easily by a really smart player who knows everything about the game and is able to go in and just rip them apart? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that can be said about any.
But you're gonna need to have the right tools to be able to dismantle this team. Is what I think.
It's just like a GK Xeris team. Same thing. You're gonna need to, I guess, tailor your squad when you're attacking them, just so you can beat them.
tools in the toolbox, like they said in the patch notes. You need to have the right tools to go up against them. And if you have those tools and you understand how they work, then you're able to face them. But if you don't, then it's going to be good on defense because people won't understand exactly what to do right away. Not everybody listens to podcasts and things,
It's also pretty simple kits too, so it's going to play well on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? You're good on that, or you're right on that, which is that their kits are simple enough that they should be really good for the computer AI to handle them.
Here's the team that I want to use. Maybe is what I'm thinking. I want to use 3 Nightsisters and 2 others, and the 2 others I'm thinking are Dark Nihilus and Thrawn. And I think that those 2 are really good at disrupting another team,
Well, what are the
slowing them down, and it gives me turn meter and makes my protection come back, which they don't get a lot of protection back.
I'm gonna take a guess what you think the other Nightsisters should be. What I feel are the 2 essential ones, which would be Asajj, because she's by far the best Nightsister, I feel, and Zombie, because she's...
Yeah, exactly the 2 I was going to pick. Mainly Asajj, not for the damage, which is what I feel like everybody would say, but actually for the dispel, because you can just wipe the other team of all their buffs, and man, that's just going to be huge.
With Nihilus and Asajj both dispelling.
Yeah, so if I can fracture...
Oh, and Thrawn,
and I can... and I have Plague, so I'm going to be getting 5 grips every time all day. I'm going to be annihilating people. And I think that's going to be the team that
imagine if you had Data Nihilus and you're putting health down on people as well as Plague.
So
you're going to be putting a crap load of debuffs.
So, for example, you put health down on someone, they get hit with the Plague. That's 5% off their health. And that's kind of just if they get rid of that health down, for example, they're still going to have less health than... if they would have without the Plague, I mean.
Exactly.
Well, Plague mechanic is gonna be kind of vicious against some teams.
Spirit, all she does is a lot of damage. She gets a lot of moves, and she removes buffs, but she doesn't really do a lot of Plague, and she doesn't keep anybody else alive. So I really feel like she's the first one to pull.
She seems like more PvE focused character.
Yeah, like a tank character. You could do a lot of damage with her.
What characters do we have that do healing immunity that would be good to put on a Nightsister team so that you can sort of have a healing immunity and Plague going at the same time?
Obvious one's Sidious. I mean, Sidious would just be fantastic on a Nightsister hybrid team.
Here's a quick question here. Do we think that a full 5-sister Nightsister team is going to be the best way to go about this, or do we think hybrid teams are going to be the way to go in the future with Nightsisters?
I definitely think maybe taking out 1 or 2 is the best way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second that. I think you need at least 3.
I'm saying you definitely need 3, but I'm saying take out 1 or 2.
I think now that they have Zombie as a tank, I mean, that was the thing that I didn't see. I mean, you could run a full Nightsister squad, and I think it would be... I'm more interested in a full Nightsister squad than a hybrid squad.
Yeah, I think so too. I think with the tank and with either Talia or the Ghost, depending on who you're going against, I think you'll swap them out, Talia and the Ghost, because the Ghost is going to be really good against specific teams. And Talia is going to be really
Ghost,
good.
The ship just pops in my head.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's... What is she? A spirit?
A spirit.
Okay.
She's the spirit.
The spirit. All right.
It's like the spirit of Halloween.
When I saw her, I just thought, ooh, it's like we're Scooby-Doo going on here.
Almost does kind of look like that.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
My first instinct with Nightsister, with the spirit, is the ghost at the beginning of Ghostbusters in the library.
Yeah, that's
Slimer, dude.
Well, it's kind of like part Slimer, but the lady that did all the vertical book stacking.
Do most of you think that the spirit is the one that's going to be left out of a 5-person Nightsisters team? In
PvP,
Talia?
In PvP, yes, I'd rather have
That's
Talia.
what we're talking about.
I don't know about Talia being her replacement, but yeah, a replacement.
Well, I think before Spirit, I'd cut out Talia, Initiate, and Acolyte. I mean, before I took out... I mean, I think for me in a 5-person comp, she makes it.
Oh, yeah. If you're going 5, yeah, totally.
That's what I'm talking
If you're going less than 5, nah.
Okay, yeah. If you're going full 5, then yeah, Spirit and Zombie.
Spirit and Zombie.
You can't go without Zombie. Can't go without Mother Talsin.
Zombie and Mother Talsin are the requirements. Asajj is also probably essential.
Where does your cleanse come from, then?
I believe
Asajj?
Daka has a cleanse.
I don't think so.
That's why I'm thinking Thrawn.
No, Dark, she has the heal. I don't think she has the bounce.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is Talia is your cleanser.
So that's why I think Thrawn. I'm gonna put Thrawn in there, and then I could give her the, boom.
Well, but if you're going full five Nightsisters, right?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, maybe it's not best.
What about 4 Nightsisters and just one character? You think?
And I think it'd be Thrawn.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Furious. Thrawn gives him that kind of control that they're otherwise lacking.
I think you could go Thrawn or Nihilus, in my opinion. You could go one or the other. If you're doing 4 Nightsisters.
If you're going 2, then go both of them. But if you're just going to do 1, you do Thrawn, because you don't need to fracture out of the gate because of the team you got going. You just wait for your guy to get buff immunity or have a problem, and then you remove it, and then you fracture, and then you're good to go. How are they going to fix that?
Yep.
Well, I think, though, what's really cool about the Nightsister team, especially if you do 4 and then you add another one, is, if you have Darth Nihilus in there, then you can just control the other team with that, because you put the plague on everybody first with Mother Talsin, right? Then after that you go with Nihilus and put your cooldown increases, and then that makes it so the other team doesn't even have a chance to do what you're talking about and mess with you. You know what I'm saying? And then you can really control what happens and who you kill and who you go after.
Yeah, but I feel like the strength of the Nightsister team, it lies more in delaying the battle until you can stack up all those plays and you can just become a powerhouse and then
doing that
afterwards.
Aren't you doing that with Nihilus?
I feel like that's more of an aggressive approach where you're trying to take control and have an advantage in the early game, where I feel like the Nightsisters are meant to have more of a late game advantage.
I see what you're saying.
Thrawn helps capitalize on top of that, play to your strengths.
Thrawn isn't out the gate and he'll buy you 2 turns, where Nihilus out the gate, he buys you 1. Think of it that way.
No, he buys you 5. Nihilus buys you 5 turns, though. That's the thing.
Well,
right? 5 turns, because
from everybody, though. But that isn't as useful as one guy, though. Most of those people aren't a threat to you early on.
I see. Okay.
Because the first turn, what's going to happen to you first turn that's going to be bad if you're a Nightsister? The worst thing. They remove your taunt and give you buff immunity, right? That's the worst thing that could happen to you.
On one of your characters after that.
Yeah, well, but he has an auto taunt, so it has to happen. And Thrawn has good tenacity, so he's likely going to be able to go, and you'll be able to remove him.
Okay, yeah. Out of all the, I think out of all the people to put on a Nightsister team who's not a Nightsister, I would probably do Sidious, because all the rewards that come from people dying, he's playing on the other team, he's just going to be very survivable.
That's actually, I'd say that's decent, because he gains health and turn meter every time he dies. Plus, he's naturally very tanky with his Zeta. He's a pretty tanky character.
You think his Zeta will come back into focus with Nightsisters being a thing?
It's a composite. I feel like what's going to happen is kind of like with a cookie cutter. You have CLS, GK, R2, Han, and then you put in another one or something like that. It's just I feel like it's going to be the same thing, where it's going to be Talsin, Asajj, Zombie, and then either plug Daka or plug 2 other strong characters in.
Yeah, I think Asajj is a key, honestly, in my opinion. I feel like she's always, in my eyes, she's always been kind of a semi-strong character with her ability to remove all buffs from the other team. I think that's going to be a really strong thing that Nightsisters can do that not a lot of other teams can do, except someone who's using Baze,
Yeah, I honestly feel like Baze is kind of falling out of favor, though, with especially with Nightsisters. I feel like the old Chase combo is kind of going to be dead after against Nightsisters.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be dead. It'll still be around, but it's definitely going to be 10-15% of people.
I mean, people have been saying Chase is dying a slow deaths for 8 months now.
Which I'm glad.
It's still at 30-40% in Arena right now.
And the only reason Chase went down is because Barriss and Kenobi are just a better version of Chase.
Yep.
But you need a Zeta for that, which is annoying.
Yeah, it seems like a good earlier I guess earlier team for someone to run. Like for example, when you just start out, Lando's a god. It's gonna be kind of the same thing. When you first start out, if you're never mind. I'm gonna completely back up on that statement because I just realized base is impossible to get for new players.
Yeah, base is not like
I'm completely
No.
taking that statement back. Base is very hard to get.
Finish out here on Nightsisters in Arena. So why don't we start with you there, Brendo, and go down the pike.
You know, my gut instinct on Nightsisters is that you want to play them as a full faction. I think if you're going to add a hybrid, I'm really kind of excited about Sidious. I think, natural counters in Arena, it might give you a reason to use Gar Saxon if you have Gar Saxon. It might bring back Wedge as the lead if the Nightsisters miraculously become meta and the Wedge heal on crit, can somehow match the Plague. I don't know if it will. Who knows? But otherwise, I would say Kylo Ren looks really nasty against them. I think Kylo, just for his healing immunity, also puts him kind of as a nice an interesting character on a hybrid team. If you have a Zato Kylo and you're looking to get a little more aggressive in a hybrid team. But also, I would say Barasafi, and you might start seeing people run healers out the ass if the Nightsisters are really good.
Okay, Face. What do you think?
I'd say they seem very strong as a 5-man team. I'd have to agree with Furious when he says maybe replace one out with Thrawn for greater controllability. And I definitely feel like they have a potential to become a meta team. Like you said, a tool in the toolbox.
Mm-hmm. Furious?
I think they could win. Maybe they're not going to be the best team or anything, but I think they can win.
Cool.
If you're trying to pull out a few W's, I think Nightsisters can do it.
Yeah. All right, Sith, what do you think? Final thoughts on...
I think that the Nightsisters are going to provide a fairly fun option to use in Arena. I definitely think that you will be able to use them. I don't know that they will be the meta kind of team, but I think that if I had them up, I would definitely be testing them out. And I think that, as a few others have already said, that they definitely have the options as well to maybe run a Thrawn or some other cookie cutter character, and they could be really good.
That should be the subtitle of this podcast, Nightsisters. They could be really good.
Yeah, as I was saying, I don't really think they're gonna cut it up to like the first place or anywhere near there at the time, because we haven't fought against them really. We can't do it yet, of course, but I don't think they could get up there because they're really easy to disable. You just need to get immunity block on a tank zombie, and then you just need to cut them down. So I think they could do it in Arena. Maybe about 100, 150, maybe.
Okay, all right. What about Thane? What are your final thoughts on Arena Nightsisters?
I think they'll be viable, but I don't think it'll hold very well. As far as I think it'll drop like a rock, just because there's so many counters to it. People that normally if you see 5 or 10 of them pop up in your arena, players who have more niche teams will be able to take it down.
Okay. And my final thoughts are just that I think that they're going to come into the arena, and they're going to be a force a little bit. They're probably going to take 20-30% of the arena. Not right away. It'll take some time. But I think they're going to take 20-30% of the arena. And I think because of that, what we're going to see is other teams that are not completely cookie cutter possibly come in to counter them, which could make some interesting combinations in the arena in the future. That's a strong possibility that is what we could see happen. It'll be interesting to see where we go. So here's a question. Talsin, outside of the Nightsisters, okay? Do you think that she's arena viable outside of the Nightsisters and working in a team? Do you think she's a plug-and-play character like the other ones?
No.
You don't?
0%.
She's not plug-and-play. Yeah.
Not at all.
I think so.
I think she is too. And I think people are missing that she is, because going through protection, this plague debuff, all of these mechanics scream at me special mechanics that work with other characters, right? Just like you have Nihilus and Thrawn and R2D2 and these characters who have these, they have their special mechanics that work with other teams other than their set rebels or whatever.
Can plague be cleansed?
No.
Yes, if you
It
heal
cannot-
someone to full health. Say, this is what I'm saying. For example, with a Nightsister, with a Talsin lead, every time a Nightsister uses a special ability, they inflict plague, and she herself makes it spread at an insane rate. So if you take that away, Talsin is no longer. There's no longer as much plague being applied, and say a Xeris or a Jedi team with Luminara on it and a Xeris. A lot of the problem is plague is going to be cleansed a lot.
Think about this though. Her on a team with Thrawn and fracture Barriss, and then you do her AoE plague, which puts plague on everybody, and her basic attack does damage to everyone with plague on it when she attacks with it, kind of like Palpatine does. So you can put an AoE plague, and then whenever she attacks, she'll hurt everyone through their protection. And then you could basically just lock down the Xeris team by fracturing Xeris, and you're good to go. See what I mean?
Yeah, but you're already adding in Thrawn, so what else needs to be added to this team to make it arena viable?
Exactly. Now you're just saying now we need a General Kenobi lead, and let's just put CLS behind him and Raydon. Boom. Just meta.
Well, that could work,
Well,
or you could do.
If it works, it works. Because that was the question.
The question was,
it works.
the question is, does it work? Can you make it work?
Can it work? Yeah.
I think work is a cookie cutter team, but the question is there a character that you could play ahead of Talsin that's better? And I would argue absolutely there are many.
I don't know. I think I could replace on my team personally. Like, my team currently is Rex with Thrawn, Nihilus, R2D2, and Shore Trooper. I think I could replace R2D2 with Talsin and be just fine, honestly.
I agree. 100%.
I think that would make my team a whole lot better, actually, in my opinion.
That doesn't mean for someone who's running a perfect meta team that's number one in their shard doesn't mean that putting Talsin in is necessarily going to make their team any better.
No, but will it make a team? Will it make a team viable?
That's what I'm saying.
Viable.
Like with a viability factor, Talsin's not really helping you out more than say R2 or Thrawn or another plug and play character is. If you had a character, there's better options.
Sure?
I bet you at least 100% of the time there are better options.
But her damage does not look like it's anything earth-shaking.
It looks good to me. I mean, it's going through protection. It's an AoE attack that also does plague, and you gotta remember that plague takes 5% health at the start of each turn.
Yes, but it can be cleansed extremely easily if it's not being applied as consistently as with a full Nightsister team.
Like I said, it could be, but there's not really a lot of Zeta Barriss teams, at least for me, in Arena. I don't know about the rest of you.
Guys, remember, Zeta Barriss is on, I think, 20 to 40% of all number one teams.
Okay. Not even just Zeta
but the
Barriss.
number one teams don't have a cleanse unless you count the R2 thingy.
Yeah, and they can't cleanse because they're not healing. The plague can only be cleansed if the people are healed to full. So if they don't have a healer that's healing them to full, then the plague's gonna stay there. You see what I mean?
Like, I feel like it'd be good, if they're running the normal Luke, R2, and who else, Raid Han or whatever. Because it can't be resisted too, right?
No resist.
Or evaded.
Or evaded, or cleansed.
So that's the one good thing, because a lot of people run Chase still, like on my chart at least, and that's a cleanse and it puts the tenacity up and whatever, but that's not going to matter. So they are going to take damage from it. But, the Chirrut heal, I don't know, it might negate it in my mind.
Unless you fracture, it really just, you have to figure out.
I'm just saying, maybe they'll equal out, I don't know. But yeah, it definitely doesn't seem earth-shattering to me either. But the Nightsisters all together, I think, have a cool mechanic going, and that could be viable.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you could take one or two of them out, but I think you need at least a couple of them together, because they're missing out on too much otherwise.
Yeah, going back to the original statement, I don't, like, kind of what we're saying on Mother Talsin can really be viable with Nightsisters, I feel. But I just can't agree with you that she's a plug-and-play character.
It'll be interesting to see.
See, I have to agree or disagree. I think that she does make it viable. It's like she'll make dark side tunes viable, like especially like if you're running like a Sith or an Empire team, like she especially because if you put her under like a Zeta lead who benefits from debuffs or all these other teams, like she can be like a Palps 2.0, like for whatever role Palpatine was had in the past, like she basically is a juiced up Palpatine that can go into like right now like dark side teams like they work but they struggle, and I do feel that Talsin is kind of like that little extra boost that might just put him over the hump that would make him more competitive.
I mean, from a bounty hunter's perspective, I kind of have to run Zam and IG-88 and Dengar behind my Boba. That makes him what really, makes him shine. And just from my perspective, what I'm seeing is my team is insanely based off debuffs. With everyone debuffed, they're all plus 75 speed, kind of like Asajj.
Well, Talsin would
but
be
the
great
opposite.
for that.
But that's the thing. Who am I going to trade out? Greedo, I'm soon trading him out for Raidhan, who still lets Zam get that turn meter boost from Scoundrels. And I don't think it's I don't think it's
better
enough to I don't think it's enough to sacrifice Raidhan, who can hit out that maximum damage. And
But think about her kit and how much damage she'll be doing, because she'll put those. Okay, so she'll put those debuffs on, right? But it's not just the debuffs. When she has all of the plague on everybody, which she will just by doing the AOE, she'll make it so that essentially your team, whenever she attacks, she'll be doing damage through through the protection. The Ichor Lightning, when there's plague on, does damage to everyone on the team through protection, right? So
Yeah, if she gets countered in the face by Luke doing that, it might get ugly quick.
Who do you think would do more damage under, say, I'm just saying from my perspective again, Boba Fett? Who do you think would be doing more damage, Talsin or Raidhan with a Zeta on him?
I don't know. I think Talsin could potentially do more damage.
Pause for a second, because like this just hit me. Like, I like that her damage goes through protection, but that's good and bad for two ways. It's good in the sense that you can combine Sith Assassin stuff, ignore protection, slam it with the Savage. That's pretty cool. Feels a little gimmicky, and it might be hard to pull off an arena consistently, but I like it. Now, what I'm worried about is all the health regen that you have. If you have, like, say, 3 different plague buff stack, where does that fall in line with, like, a wedge lead? Because the heals off crits. Is that more or less from that? And if she can't do more damage than a wedge lead can heal, then she absolutely won't be a problem in arena.
So here's the thought, right? She the buff does damage on its own, but whenever she attacks, she's doing damage to everyone, and it's not actually an AOE, right? It's kind of like Palpatine's, where it just does damage with her base. So when she does damage with her basic, the other characters who have plague also take damage.
Everybody with plague.
Everyone with plague, right? And that damage also goes through their protection.
But the protection is a shell, so her. It's only her, it's only certain characters that can ignore protection. But the protection still exists as a shell for the other characters that are attacking.
Absolutely.
So the regen of the health is just pure health regen. Is she doing more damage to the health, or is the health regenerating on like a nihilist lead, on a wedge lead? Is that regenning faster than the damage is hitting? And if it is, then her damage through protection is pretty much a moot point,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you really want to use that point of damage through protection, then I feel like you have to be running other damage through protection characters, aka Sith Assassin, or Savage, who can also capitalize off that. Back what we originally were
Or
talking
some
about.
type of team that takes a long time, somebody that makes it a long fight, and you just kind of let them fade away, and they don't have a lot of heals.
So she can over time, take them down.
This brings up an interesting question. Do you think that they'll release more damage through protection characters in the future?
I think yes.
Yeah, they're staggering them out. But
that's inevitable.
But but here's the problem with her then in arena. Nightsisters, that's really cool, and it creates all kinds of fun options. But then to get her mechanic certain mechanics like the damage through protection, you have to start pulling apart the Nightsister team. So then it's like this balancing act with her, where it's like, are you going to go with the Nightsister synergy and the team synergy, or are you going to go with the one damage through protection? And honestly, I do not see the damage for protection being that. That's not scary to me. Like, I think a Nihilist lead team would just wipe the floor with her. I think a Wedge lead team wipe the floor with her.
Sith Assassin has one-shot my Thrawn before with his damage through protection. So yeah, that's just a one thing.
Here's a mechanic we haven't talked about yet. It's her unique. Her unique says that at the start of each enemy turn, if they are plagued and Talsin is active, then they inflict another plague on a random enemy, which cannot be evaded or resisted. And we do know that it is stacking. So if potentially you are going up against a team that's really, really fast, they're just going to have a lot of plagues stack up on them on top of each other.
Exactly, and what I'm saying is with the other lead, whenever a Nightsister uses a special ability, they inflict plague on the enemy. So that is also multiplying on just excessive plague. Everyone has plague on them, and they all have like 4 or 5 plagues on them at any one time. It could be insane, and that's why I'm saying she's most effective with her plague and with her damage through protection in a team with other Nightsisters, not as a standalone character.
I was going to take it the other way around. I was going to say the fact that her unique gives plague, just based on regardless of Nightsisters, makes her viable outside of a Nightsisters team. Because then it becomes kind of like a Nihilist Zeta, where he's giving damage over time, like when someone takes a turn. It kind of becomes like that kind of a mechanic. And that mechanic we already know is pretty useful in Arena. And if you have again going back to this team, a Zeta lead with Nihilist, Mother Talsin, you can make yourself very, very viable.
What I want to talk about next is Talsin plus the zombie tank in a team separate from any other Nightsisters. Just take those two, slot them into a team, some sort of a cookie cutter team or something. Do we think that could work? Let's go through the pike here and hear from everyone if we think that Talsin plus the tank, right, plus the Nightsister tank in a 5-person team that is not a Nightsister squad could be a good combo to go with in the future. Brenda?
I really don't know. I mean, you could do some plug and play things, maybe add her to a Zader team, any team that would maybe have Boba Fett on it. I'm trying to think what the advantage of just pulling apart her and the tank would be.
Well, the tank is really strong with just one Nightsister, right? You only need one Nightsister for her to be strong because she just needs to get that taunt up, essentially.
Yeah, but I would have to disagree, though, because I feel like for zombie to be useful, what you're going to need is you're going to need at least 3 Nightsisters.
Why?
Or a Talsin lead.
Why?
Because if for example, you have Boba Fett on the other team, he can focus down Talsin. Talsin's dead, and Nightsister zombie's just vulnerable at that point because you can actually kill her. You need at least a couple of Nightsisters or a Talsin lead.
Because how does he come back otherwise?
You can protect Talsin with the tank, and then I don't think Boba Fett's really a discussion. Honestly, I don't think that's a discussion.
What about Nihilus?
So Nihilus can be prevented very easily with the tank, right?
No, I'm saying Nihilus can dispel the tank and boom, focus on Talsin between the tank's turns.
The tank could gain taunt, or you could run R2D2. There's plenty of things you can do with the tank and Talsin together.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's kind of I feel it's easy to counter. Like it's easy to work around. It's not that hard of a mechanic.
Think so. I mean, with the tank, if the tank is able to go, she'll gain taunt, right? So
is it that hard?
The end of
one at least 2 dispels. So if you're running a Baze and Nihilus, you've got 2 dispels.
Or you could run Rex lead with a Nihilus and another character like a Thrawn or an R2D2. And then, bam! Right there, you've got a really strong team, I think, with the tank and.
Well, what if you have, for example, you're facing an Empire team, because those aren't even that bad in the current meta. Like I know it's not really a meta team, but a Thrawn lead isn't that bad. Imagine Thrawn fractures zombie. Boom, the game's over for you. There's nothing you can do if she's your only tank.
Not if you're
Yeah.
running R2D2.
R2D2 doesn't matter. You still get fractured.
Yeah.
You give taunt to the tank, even though it's fractured.
He can't have anything if he's fractured. Yeah, you just kill it
Yeah,
and it can't come back.
What I'm saying is, no, he would be able to come back. He works through Thrawn's fracture.
You just once he's fractured, you don't do anything to the tank. You just let it sit there.
ignore
you
the
just
tank.
leave him and
That's
kill
the point.
Talsin.
Ignore
You're
the
not
tank.
listening
Kill
to me.
Talsin and then kill tank.
I said that
Yeah,
if
that's
you have
not-
R2D2, you can give a soft taunt to your tank
Yes, but fracture
with
goes
R2D2.
goes through foresight, so it doesn't matter.
I'm not talking about foresight. I'm talking about just the fact that you would still have to attack the zombie, and the zombie would just come back without fracture.
Thrawn teams are mostly based around delaying the battle, removing turn meter, and making sure one person never goes, pretty much, with just cycling through all your abilities. So, for example, Fracture, Nightsister Zombie. You're obviously going to be running Shore Trooper, so you already have a very strong tank on your side. Your Thrawn's going to be protected. You just wait until the Foresight runs off on Talsin. You wipe out Talsin. Done. Take out tank. Now it's just 3 people.
It's like, I really don't see Talsin plus the zombie really being on any cookie cutter teams together. I just don't see that in my mind. I think you're going to want at least 3, if not 4 Nightsisters to make that work.
Talsin might be able to do some stuff on her own, but
you
yeah,
don't think
zombie,
you would
I don't
plug
think
the
so.
zombie with her?
Yeah, zombie needs, like I said, zombie needs either Talsin lead or 3 to 4 Nightsisters.
Because he doesn't have enough tools.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't bring enough tools to the table without everybody else.
They're all Nightsisters, so they're all Nightsisters.
I don't know. I feel like she brings a lot to the table with her auto taunt. That's what makes her great.
Yes, it's an auto taunt, but why would you not just use Baze or General Kenobi in her place?
You don't have them.
Yeah.
You don't have. That's my point. If you don't have them,
who would have zombie over those two? I mean,
yeah, that's the other.
Anyone
thing.
who's unlocking her. Like
I mean,
I don't have Baze or Kenobi right now at max gear and max stars, right? Like
I don't see how you would want to substitute that. I mean, I would think Old Ben's a better tank.
Old Ben is definitely a better tank.
He's a much harder gear.
He's much easier.
Not really.
He's harder to gear though. She's easier to gear. That's what
I don't think his Old Ben's really easy to gear towards.
I don't think we should be asking the question.
It's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't think we should be asking the question of, like for example, if we're all under geared, is she good? We should be saying
I'm saying is if
everyone's a high gear, if everyone's top tier equal, is she viable? That should.
Do you think she's viable in arena if somebody does not have those other 2 people? Do you think that's a good plug-in? It's not a good plug-in.
No, I don't think it's good because it's just asking a lot of. It's very conditional. It's like, okay, if your account is this, and this, then sure, zombie's a great option. But I just feel like for most people, they're more attractive options because I mean, really, the only play for Talsin on her own is just to just for the play. There's no reason to bring zombie to the party.
Yeah, zombie.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe if you were saying, I don't know. Let's just say you were going for Spirit. And you were going over a Boba Fett team, and you had Boba Fett, I don't know, General Kenobi, Spirit, Talsin, and another 5th, just focusing on high damage. Like, Spirit would be a nice substitute in there, but I don't see any team where Zombie could be fit in as a 5th for anyone.
So you don't think that a Rex-led team with 2 characters plus Talsin and the zombie could be good, or maybe even a.
That's what I'm saying. For example, if I had a Rex lead with Talsin, I would be running 2 more. But what I'm saying is, zombie does not have tools like Thrawn does, like Nihilus or Kylo or other standalone characters.
Yeah, we're talking about for a tank, right? Like, what tanks do we have, right? So we have a bunch of really hard to get. We have a bunch of really hard to get tanks that are high level, like General Kenobi, Baze, Shore Trooper. All of those. All of those guys are good.
More though, I don't feel like he's that hard to get.
He's still relatively difficult to star up and everything.
What about
right?
Let's just throw someone out there. Scareful Pathfinder. He's a surprisingly strong tank, and he's very easy to get.
Do you think he would be better to? You think he would be
Yeah,
better
I
used than
think he'd be
Zombie
better.
Yeah, there's way
in
better.
that team?
There's way like
He literally does
Scarif
everything
Herbal
Zombie does.
Pathfinder would revive way more consistently, especially on a Rex team, than Zombie would with Mother Talsin alone.
Yeah, that was a perfect analogy because he does everything that Zombie does practically on his own, but a little bit differently. So yeah, I'd way rather have,
But doesn't he
Zombie.
have to do an AoE to
No,
taunt,
yeah, to taunt he has to.
No,
do-
he has to be
Yeah.
buffed.
which is painful in the current meta?
Well,
Right.
it's kind of useless in the current meta too. His AOE is just like a little like puff of smoke, and then everybody attacks him. He has a buff. He resurrects.
But
it
but
works.
if everybody murders him as soon as he does his taunt, then that kind of defeats the purpose.
Well, you have R2 and you stick stealth on him, then or someone he's stealthed, then he does his AoE, then he taunts, but he was stealth when he hits them.
I mean,
Because
yeah,
the point is that the zombie's not going to be giving you any tools to win the
Exactly.
match.
That's why I pulled Spirit.
Yeah, it
into
doesn't
this.
inspire me.
Spirit has tools of turn meter manipulation, manipulation of buffs and dispelling. Like you can kind of work around, like how I said, Thrawn, Nihilist characters like that. They have certain attributes that'll make them viable outside of, say, a Sith team or an Empire team. Talsin definitely has attributes that'll make her somewhat viable outside a Nightsister team, but I still feel like Nightsisters as a whole, you want to be running them with other Nightsisters as a Nightsister team with maybe a couple trade outs. Yes, sir.
Well, just same as how right now Phoenix, yes, you can pull one or two characters from that team, but really, if you're going to run one more than two Phoenix characters together, they need to be all there because they work as a unit rather than individual characters or little groups of characters.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. Like, for example,
Okay.
on a Jedi team, you can pull Kanan out as a tank, for example, instead of, say, Zombie as a tank. You can pull Kanan out as a tank on a Jedi team, but you still have better options of who you could fill in that slot.
Well, this will be all interesting to see where it goes. I think you guys are right when it comes to having a 3 Nightsister team. However, I think there's a lot of variation though with what 2 Nightsisters you choose for it. But yep, I think this will be interesting moving forward to see what happens. Good discussion on that.
We need to do these like armchair theory crafting until we could actually see it happen. I mean, I just wonder. Like, I might sound like an idiot in a week when she's like an arena dominant character, but like, I just don't see it. And it's like, I mean, I don't know if I could live in a world with Nightsister arena meta for 6 months. Like, that's just not the world for me.
Like I said, I don't think it's going to be the arena meta, but I think it'll make a dent.
I'm just playing, but it would be nice to have another option. I mean, that's cool.
I'd rather live in that world than this rebel meta anymore.
Like, this is a really nice thing for defense and guild versus guild, and certainly a nice option to run as a real team in dark side territory battles.
So let's move on to raids.
Something that
what do
you
think?
sit at and you get a lot of turns. I mean, she's just gonna wipe with those.
Yeah,
dots,
I feel
right?
like she is. I honestly feel like Nightsisters are going to be monstrous in the AAT.
So here's the question: what phase?
Like maybe be able to solo. No, like I think they might
I
be able to
honestly
go all
feel
the way
solo.
through.
I legitimately feel solo too with all the mechanics,
they
the
die? I mean, unless
revives,
you
the
can't beat the
insane
rage.
damage. Like I really feel like they could be extremely. I believe in the solo ability of the Nightsisters. Honestly.
So we haven't talked much about their kit. Now, here's the thing about the Nightsisters. They have a lot of turn meter removal. So I have a feeling that they could be really viable in phase 1 or 3. even,
Or all of
with
them
their turn
because they
meter.
have insane damage and insane like I don't think we've seen
Phase
this
2.
sort of survivability in any team before. They are pretty much
And keep in
impossible
mind
to kill.
too, the Asajj thing. Whenever you're knocking down cannons, like in phase 2, that's gonna be deaths, and that stacks her thing. So
And
she's
she
gonna
gets
be
more
And
stacking,
that's also
yeah,
deaths
she's
that
gonna be
revive.
fucked.
That's also deaths that revive people in their basic.
Yeah. So if you end the phase and you got everybody going, I mean, I don't know.
Phase 2 could be epic, man.
Same with
this
phase
team.
1 and 3 and 4. I really
Yeah.
feel like they could solo.
I can see them in pretty much all phases.
But you have
gears.
to. But you have to remember,
Does anybody-
you do need some Zetas for this team. Like the
Oh, yeah, big money.
the revive on basic is a Zeta on her
Is it?
leadership. Yeah,
On
on
Hard life,
Talsin's
yeah.
leader. Yeah.
Zeta.
Well, I wouldn't mind Zetaing her for her leadership.
I think they're going to be monstrous in the AAT.
Yeah, me too. Raids, I mean, they're going to be crazy. And don't they have a lot of turn meter removal? I mean,
Insane
why not?
turn meter removal, decent turn meter gain, insane survivability. That's what I'm stoked about.
Why not? Why not? Can they kill the Rancor too?
I think
That's
they
a
could.
question.
I think they
I
could.
want to
I mean,
try it.
how
I'll
does
try
the
it.
Rancor
maybe
kill 'em
maybe
all, right? I don't know.
maybe instead of oh never mind, ignore me. I was gonna say maybe instead of Talsin lead we could go for an Asajj lead because she has kind of the Zeta thing going on with turn meter removal, but Talsin would be way better because of survivability.
Yeah.
So, like, I could see it, and I wasn't thinking about this, but just talking, doing my, like, mental theory crafting that's on the spot, I could see them doing to AAT what CLS did for the Rancor. I mean, they seem like they could fit in every phase, and they seem like they have the survivability to get through all the little obstacles, so that might be an easy way
Yeah,
for
that's kind of what I like about them. They seem kind of like the Ewoks to me. Like they don't do the same stuff, but they're super survivable. They're really dependent on each other. They all kind of work together.
In terms of the zombie and the spirit, who do we think they'll replace in a 5-person tank or Rancor team, if anyone? And how do we think they fit into raids with all the other Nightsisters?
I'm gonna come right off the bat and say, I don't feel zombie will be used at all in raids. I don't think you need a taunter in a raid, really. Maybe in like the hat, like phase 3 or something, you might want a zombie. But I feel for the most part, I'd rather have I'd rather have spirit in there because do you really need a tank when you have a bunch of healers and you guys can heal pretty much infinitely all basic attacks? So my dream team, for example, would have to be Talsin, of course, Asajj under her. Daka would be essential, Spirit, and I'd have to go with Acolyte, honestly.
What phase is that for? What raid?
I'm just saying, in general, overall, that seems like it could take on any phase, any raid.
You think any phase, any raid? I don't know,
I
man.
agree. I don't know about Acolyte. I'm a little hesitant to say Acolyte, but I don't think Zombie is going to be useful in a raid.
I think you hit it. I think phase 3 hat, you're going to want to use zombie.
Phase 1 and phase 3 hat, in my opinion.
But I'm saying, like, you do want a taunter or whatever, but what I really am more concerned about is, do you need a taunter when, if someone dies, they can be revived extremely easily? You have multiple different ways.
I'm talking about the individual kits of turn meter removal on these Nightsisters, and how that tenacity down will help them to always succeed at it, even without an Asajj lead.
I
know what I'm saying?
I don't think I'd rather have, for example, Acolyte, because lots of damage, a little bit of the spelling, but mostly a massive amount of damage.
Okay, all right. So you think that's a phase 1 no-go on the zombie is what you're saying?
I say no-go on phase 1.
I don't think I'd try her at first, but maybe if the team without her is struggling, I'd throw her in to see if having a little bit of...
Yeah, but because the way I see it, all those B1s and the B2, they're weak. They're pretty easy to kill. Say, for example, you just leave them weak, and if someone dies, you just basic attack. You'd use if you're using a Talsin lead, for example, you could basic attack, knock one out, and that person would be revived. Like,
do you think...
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think you could solo it with the Enrage mechanic on phase 1?
$1 million question. That's the only question that matters.
So here's the one that I think is useful that's kind of a sleeper, before I forget this. If you're using a Asajj lead and you're trying to do the turn meter reduction thing, use the Acolyte, because when she's stealth, she has a double attack.
So I think
that'd be a way. Then so she'd be the one that would help you a little bit extra.
Yeah, like as in Rancor wide, and but I'd personally...
Other than Spirit, so that's like the wombo. You need those 3, I feel like, to remove a lot and do a lot, because the Spirit takes it away and also uses it for itself. They're gonna do a lot of damage.
Yeah, but like the only thing that I really want to know, the biggest question is just if they have the DPS to actually go around and rage, and I don't know. That's the problem. I just want to question for them, and if
they do, Asajj, we all know Asajj has really high damage. The Spirit,
popping 80,000 crits. I mean, that was awesome.
Based on the books, Spirit has pretty high damage too. Acolyte, new reworked Acolyte, has extremely high crit chance and very high crit damage. on a full Nightsister team, I mean. And, like, for example, her special has plus 20% crit damage for each Nightsister ally and each debuffed enemy. Imagine that five of the enemies are debuffed. You have 5 Nightsister allies. Boom, 200% critical damage. Like, her damage output seems pretty high.
On paper, if things go their way, they look like the only team that I could think of that could potentially be hat viable in every phase of the hat.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
How viable?
You might have to swap them around. Might have to swap them around a little bit, but
Right, but I think they could sell
as a faction as a whole. Yeah.
No, there's no question about Phase 2 and Phase 4 for me.
Oh yeah,
Phase 3 is the one.
No, I feel like Phase 1 is
the. Wipe it.
I feel like Phase 1 is the question, really, as to if they're going to be able to do more damage than other teams, or the same amount of damage as other teams.
Well, they do have buff immunity. I forget which one of them, but one of them has buff immunity, so...
Yeah, but doesn't Grievous just not care about that?
The thing with Phase 1 is, if you're talking about the turn meter reduction route, it's the fact that every 7 times you hit Grievous, he gains 100% turn meter. So he's going to go a lot. And then, unless you have buff immunity on him, he's also going to get buffed up. So you're going to take a fair bit of damage in P1, I'd imagine. I think what Valen is trying to say is that is the Nightsister team going to survive long once he's enraged?
Yeah, because doesn't Enrage completely make him non-revivable at that point, I thought?
It would be a full wipe if he was enraged.
Yeah, I think that they'll still wipe. I don't think the revivals work around the enrage, but they do a lot of damage. A lot of damage.
It'll be interesting to see.
Problem that I have is I think you mentioned when you were talking Furious, I think you mentioned Rancor. And if you're talking about Rancor, the Nightsisters are going to have a problem because Devour is going to be just a death sentence. You can't resurrect through Devour, so tough luck there. But I don't see why you'd even really want to run Nightsisters in the Rancor. It just seems
that's not true. They're supposed to be immune to things that prevent them from reviving.
Is that
the question
Boba Fett
only zombie
doesn't work.
Oh, that's only zombie, I believe.
Is it only zombie? But I'm pretty sure somebody...
You're not. It's only zombie.
Okay, so then you have to roll zombie.
Everybody else is very squishy.
Then you do have to roll zombie.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Devour might actually be a little bit different than Execute, and those mechanics.
I'm pretty sure if for zombie it's regardless, no matter what, or zombie will always revive. Doesn't matter what happened.
The true question is for Rancor. It's all about turn meter. Do you think you need a Zeta Asajj to solo?
You're doing Rancor, absolutely, because you
get a Nightsisters. Screw that crap. Who's gonna Zeta Asajj over even Zader? He's better than Zetaing Asajj. I'm just saying,
if you're committed to a Nightsister team, the Zetas are 100% worth it. Just like, for example, even a Phoenix team. If you're committed to a Phoenix team, Zetas are worth it.
We're talking about Zetaing 2 Nightsisters leaderships here because you're always going to go for Talsin first, right? In terms of her Zeta. So we're talking about having 2 Nightsisters Zeta on their leaders. Who's going to go for Asajj when you could just use Commander Luke or someone else for the Rancor?
That was my point. Yeah, because you don't need Nightsisters in Rancor because the Rancor solo. So, I mean, I can't imagine an account that would need to have Nightsisters to be their hope.
That's a totally different question. The question was, where can we use our Nightsisters? It wasn't who is the best person to use in place of them.
I don't think we can use. That's what I'm saying is I don't think
unless you want a Zeta,
unless you want to waste a Zeta on Asajj.
I mean, definitely, I would say if you want to use Luke, that's a better, cheaper way to go, bang for your buck wise. But if you're asking, hey, can the Nightsisters do things and where can they do them? They can.
I think it'll be interesting to see if they can solo the Rancor with a Zeta Asajj.
I think they will.
I don't know.
But they will need zombie. Now that you reminded me of that, yeah, you will need the zombie because
for tenacity down, I think.
Just because he can come back.
No, just to force the Rancor, for example, or whoever to attack zombie, and then zombie will revive no matter what, even if zombie's devoured.
I think the team is Asajj, zombie, the Spirit, Acolyte.
Acolyte and Spirit are kind of necessary if you're going for turn removal.
Yeah.
Now, but here's my thing. Like, I think if you think of what CLS did to Rancor, I see Nightsisters as having the potential. And again, I mean, this is just the potential. I might totally sound like an ass in hindsight, but I think they have the potential to do what CLS did in Rancor in Hat, where you could essentially have one team that goes in, dominates Hat, and leaves, which would be fine. And actually, I kind of would like to see. I could see that from CG's perspective, which is like, okay, these raids are old. This team is just going to get every player through these raids, and it just makes it easier. It simplifies things.
I would second that because I don't see how the tank is gonna survive you. I mean, that plague is gonna do so much damage, and
Do you guys think that we could? Do you guys think that we could solo phases 2 through 3, maybe like both phases with one team, like just?
I think you're talking about 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4 easily.
Yeah.
All at the set, all in one go.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think they could do it.
I think so.
Well,
And phase 1's already sorted with Commander Luke anyway.
yeah.
So you think
or
one
whatever.
person? You think one person could go in and solo 3 phases of the raid with this team?
Truthfully, my gut instinct is telling me they might be a phase 1 to phase 4 AAT team.
I don't
agree.
think they could
Does
do
Plague-
phase 1.
Does Plague stack infinitely?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then why wouldn't they be able to do phase 1? I mean, think of how many turns it would take
Right,
you to
it
put
would
what,
just be
how many
about-
stacks? Like, how is he going to
Plague
survive?
never gets taken off of Grievous, for example, because he
Yeah,
never heals.
so
Plague
think about it. I don't know what the math
stacks
is,
so
but how many stacks
significantly.
would it take to just kill him? He'll just die. I mean,
We don't know how Plague works on raid bosses. Like they haven't talked about it. They haven't said that it's different or the same or anything.
It's
But
definitely
it's
not the same.
so-
It's gonna because all bosses take reduced damage from percent health effects, as they say. So it's not gonna do as much damage. But say, for example, how Zader can get like 100 stacks of dots, for example. Imagine 100 stacks of plague on someone. Pretty much
yeah.
every, pretty much
2.5%
every.
per.
Yeah, but I'm saying pretty much every turn you take, that person's gonna gain like 2 or 3 plagues on their turn, pretty much.
Yeah.
During the
On top
video
of all
that
the
they
damage you
showed, the Nightsisters only did about 20% of phase 3, and they only did about maybe I think it was like 30% of phase 2. So thinking about the Nightsisters going to come in and just completely solo, all these different phases, I think it's a little bit of a stretch.
Do you think that we could solo one phase?
who
Just
are they using, though? I mean,
Yeah.
there are a few Nightsisters they could throw in there.
I think they could solo at least one phase, man, but I don't think they could solo that much more. If you
Yeah.
then yes,
I just don't think they have enough DPS in order to topple the tank enough times, and then I think the tank is just a little too fast, and they'll just end up getting
No, that's the
I
problem.
don't think there's a
Rage.
question.
Okay, wait.
Yeah,
I want to ask
stay
a question.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question. So, what if you just don't topple the tank, start the fight, only hit the top, the big cannon on top, and just let the side ones kill you and just bring them back and keep going? The
Mhm.
plague
Well, that's
stacks.
the
No,
thing
because,
is,
no,
Plague
because then
will-
the tank goes to enrage faster that way.
yeah, you need to topple it to get the damage out, and then it goes back, and you do it all over again, and you
The
repeat.
question is, how fast are these plagues going to stack, and how much damage are they going to do on the tank? If
Yeah.
they do enough damage on the cannons, I could see you being able to topple the
Well, you're
tank
going to be
way
able to
more
one
times
shot
than
them
with
with
any other
Visage if you lose a few guys. You can
Well,
just
that-
do your AoE and blammo. They're just going to go down like super easy.
Yeah, if you
So
if
yeah,
you
I
get
think-
to the, yeah, you go first.
I was just gonna say, I think phase 2 is a slam dunk. I think you're gonna be able to solo phase 2 for sure. With it,
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
But that's the
anyways.
thing. Why would they add another team to solo phase 2? We don't need more phase 2 solo
Because
teams.
it's easier. Because the phase 2 solo teams that are in the game right now are really annoying to gear, super annoying to gear, and this team is not as annoying. And we'll talk about that more later. But still, this team is a lot easier to not only get but also gear than those other teams. Like clones, as an
Yeah.
example. Oh my god, clones are annoying to gear. As
Yeah,
a
they
phase
are.
2 team.
They are really annoying to gear. I am running them myself in the arena and everywhere else I can because yeah. I think if you do it and you get them up, you could do it, and if you do it, good luck and to do it next, and yeah.
I mean, I got my just as an example for you guys, I got my Nightsisters to get 3 of them to gear 10 in like a couple days. So, and like that was just, it was just super easy to do. So like I don't think that it's going to be too difficult to put together a phase 2 team for most people nowadays, with the Nightsisters being a viable option,
Like
which is nice.
if you compare that to like to clones, I haven't even got Rex up to gear 11 yet.
Yeah, and it took me a couple days to get to gear 10, so like
Yeah, and I have used 3 months. I think I haven't even bothered to get him up to gear 11. He's still
Yeah.
at 10, no pieces, just gear 10.
And Rex is a relatively easy gear as well.
yeah, but the other ones aren't.
No.
Like Cody, I have Cody at gear 12. At gear 12, I think I used 2 months to get him there. Just to
Yeah.
get up to gear 11, and the same for Sarge for his P1.
Well, then don't you need multiple Zetas for the clones?
No, you just need
Just one?
Cody's. Just Cody's, and they're
Okay.
So, I mean, don't we think?
let me-
But here's the thing: Talsin will be a much better investment for Zeta than Cody would be, right? So, like, if you're going to invest in a Zeta anyways, why not go for the Nightsisters, because you're going to be able to use them in multiple areas.
Yeah, I think they want to
Quick.
put like you use not just one team in every aspect of the game, but you use more teams without.
Is this Talsin event going to come back even after you unlock her?
Yes.
Because then it'd be worth it to have Nightsisters extra for that too, because you get a lot of good rewards. It looks like.
We'll talk about that later, but yes, it's gonna come back. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's gonna be a much better team for people to focus on for phase 2 of the hat, because it's easier and faster.
Yeah, and not only that, but you can do it, and I lost it. Sorry.
So
Okay.
so here's the thing. Plague, like I was just looking up at the footage from the tank. Plague does come back, but it expires. So it's not like it's like a Zader where once damage over time expires, it comes back. So Plague does expire. So even though like they can't, the bosses or the tank or any of the phases can't cleanse themselves from it, but it does expire. So it's not like they're just going to infinitely stack and we're going to get like 100 plagues on one single area. So they do expire after a certain amount of time. So after a couple of rounds, the plague that they have does go away.
I could see you getting about 10 or 15 plagues on someone.
Yeah, but
Most I saw was 5 or 6.
Well, if you leave one up though, then they bounce back and forth, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you never really lose one in that sense, right? That's the thing I was thinking. I know they expire, but if you have one target up and he has it on him, he passes it to the other one every time. And on top of all the abilities that they have that pass it too. So in my mind, you're always increasing the number. It's never going to be less than what it was.
Like,
Unless you have a big gap like Topple or something like that.
What I see from the footage, like the most that you get, especially on P3, that's what I was like looking at right now. Like is in P3, like you get like the most you get is when all of them are all the B1s are dead, and then just the super B2 is up, and you get like about 4 or 5 of those plagues. But then after a while, they go away. Even on the tank, that was the one that got the most amount of them, and even that one only got about maybe like 6 or 7 while it was toppled only.
That's why I'm saying I think we're going to have mostly phase 2 is going to be the best choice for the Nightsisters. I think.
I mean, a lot of it just comes from watching the videos, and we haven't really had a chance to like min-max them like we'd like and perfect the mods and everything, which are going to be crucial. So I think, I think a lot of it just
Find
has
if
to
they're
be
one man short, you might need to like, throw Thrawn in there and they're good to go, or
simple
whatever
as
it'll
that.
be.
But I mean, I will say that I do like their potential. Like, I haven't been this excited about a team's potential for Hat for a while.
And they sound fun, They sound just fun to use. That's the thing that I'm looking for in the game right now. Is I'm just looking for more fun teams to mess around with and use. Like,
Hey, wait, does Plague work with Zader lead?
yes, of course.
So what if you ran just Zader and 4 ladies?
I don't think
Well,
you would
you
run.
know, you guys this too earlier, because like if you would add a character like Zader or a character like Boba Fett, where you could have like the Calling Blade or the Execute, Like, I'd like to know, is Plague dispelled when you execute,
No.
or is Falling Blade?
I think it would be.
No, it's a locked debuff. Like any other locked debuff or buff, it's not dispelled. Like Thrawn's Fracture.
It does say it is
isn't
immune to
dispelled.
allied. It's immune to allied dispels. So Boba Fett and Vader would not get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's immune to allied. I think the what I got from that was that it can't be dispelled with like a Rex cleanse or whatever.
Actually, that
think-
definitely sounds more reasonable than what I thought.
I think if we think about it logically, though, and if we think about it how everything works currently in the game, anything that has a little lockbox on it is undispellable as a whole, right? That's just how.
Yeah.
That's the visual. That's the visual art of the game. If there's a lockbox there, it's there, and it's not going away until the ability itself says it goes away, right? So that's just the way it works. That's the way it works for Luke's own self buff. That's the way it works for Thrawn's Fracture. That's the way it works for any ability that has that little lockbox on it. So that's just the most logical way to think about it.
Well, then in that case, that's even better.
Yeah.
That's even better for an execute. Or
So,
for
like,
a Falling
imagine
Blade.
running a Zader lead with Boba Fett under him, so that's a lot of damage stacked, and then Talsin, Asajj, Spirit. That's a pretty high damage team right there.
I don't know. I would go.
I'm saying for phase 2, for example.
Oh, for
That'd
phase
work.
2.
That'd kill the
that could
Rancor,
work.
I'd imagine, quick.
You know what I would
Yeah,
do
Rancor
with the
would be
Rancor,
melted.
actually? I'd do Zader. This would be fun. Zader with Talsin, Darth Nihilus. And then I would probably put in, like, Luke
And then
and Jin. Cup? What? Luke and Jin, or Luke and, like, TIE Fighter Pilot, or Luke and, I don't know, somebody that just deals immense damage. Maybe Han. Luke and Han. That'd
Yeah,
be fun.
Han's just a raid monster.
Yeah. So that could be cool to go for the Rancor with Talsin there. Yeah. So raids, thumbs up, basically, from everybody.
Yep, 100%.
Is what I'm
We're seeing an
getting.
extremely strong PvE team.
That's good. So we got positivity on raids here from everybody on the cast. When it comes to these characters, thumbs down to zombie mostly, thumbs up to spirit, right?
No, I actually changed my evaluation once I realized that zombie can only be like zombie's invincible. Yeah, I changed my evaluation on zombie. Thumbs up on zombie.
Yeah.
Zombie's
Zombie.
really good.
I think that zombie
It's
buys
actually-
you so much space you need him.
So who do we cut? What are the cuts?
I mean, Talzin's necessary. Spirit, zombie, Asajj are necessary.
Yeah, I say old Daka's the cut then, I guess, right?
Old Doc of the cut in favor.
Depending where you're going, what you're doing.
Yeah,
Depending-
old
Yeah, it
Zaka
depends
would
on
be
the
the
phase.
slot you like. For example, if you're going for more of a Rancor team, I'd probably put Acolyte in there. If I was going for more of a Hat team, I might put Daka in there for the revives and the stuns. Well, not the stuns.
I was
so
gonna
much, but the
say,
revives.
I hope Doc is in there because I already have her at gear 10 and 7 stars. So like, please let her be one of the ones.
I
So
I would say she's in the P4, P3 team. You should probably take Daga in.
Yeah, yep,
Hmm.
I agree.
P2?
When you need extra for survivability over damage, so
Yeah.
AKA P1 or P3, I'd put Daka in. If you want
So
more
you don't
damage,
think
Yeah.
yeah. For more damage, I'd put Acolyte in over
Acolyte.
Daka.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is like a really good raid team.
I
hate
really
to
feel like
admit
it's
it,
a
but
very solid range team. Yep.
Is anybody here farming him besides
Nope,
you?
not
Obviously.
me.
I'm not farming them. I already have them farmed. Like my Asajj,
that is
my
so bad.
Asajj and Daka are 7 stars, and my Talia by the end of this month with the rewards is going to be 7 stars. At that point,
Impressive.
all I would need to do is Acolyte, right? Like, so I don't even
And then
need to
3
farm
Zetas.
them. No, you only need 1, in my opinion. You only really.
I
need
think her
7.
leader. Does Asajj have a Zeta?
Yes. She already has a Zeta.
But that's her leadership, isn't it?
No, she has 2 Zetas.
No. Her unique. Her
Okay.
unique has a really good Zeta. She it guarantees her turn meter gain and gives her stacking offense and crit chance.
Right, yeah, she
and
needs that
health
one to be viable.
and health. Plus, Daka has a 10% stacking max health. On
Honestly, I feel like you could just gear these guys to gear 10 and be good for the raid, in my opinion.
oh shoot, no, really quickly, and let me butt in really quickly. Along the line of Zetas, old Daka's Zeta, whenever someone's revived, which includes Talsin's revive on a basic, for all Nightsisters, Daka gains 10% max health stacking, which will be madness on that team. It'll give her a heal, the most insane heal amount.
And that would apply to somebody that was outside of the faction too. If she heals, it would still be bigger. It's pretty swell.
I mean, it's a strange team. I really do kind of want to play around with them, but the problem is actually getting around to farming them. Like, out of all of them, old Daka is the best for me because, like, I really thought that I'd have a dark side healer, which was like an early delusion that I had in this game. And
Me too.
yeah, I mean, it would have been nice, but it just isn't there. So old Daka, I have like 23 out of 100. Talia, I have her at 5-star, and that's going to be a pain because it's either hard farm or cantina for her. But and then the acolytes in the cantina. So you have 2 cantina farms. You have the Guild Wars or the Galactic War store is the one that you want to cut. Like, that bugs me. Like, I really wish one of the cantina ones would be cut. And then Asajj and Arena, that's like, I mean, I guess that's not bad. Asajj and Arena's not the end of the world, but.
Well, I feel like Talia you get from the Chromium. Is it called Chromium packs?
Yeah, but I only have her at 9 out of 85, and it's just luck.
Yeah.
It's like my Ewok Scout. My Ewok Scout is 5-star too. I think
you'd be surprised how many people have like a Talia that's almost 7 stars or like 6 or whatever just because of this Chromium pack.
They to gear. Like, as a team,
they're not bad at all. But I'll just tell you this: I literally just geared mine because I was like, "What the heck?" I had the gear, and they don't require a lot of gear. The only thing that they require that's difficult are 1 raid gear piece, and that's the only thing. And
now
each of them require it.
I'm on Team Nightsister now.
Yeah, they're super easy. So I just geared my Asajj to gear 10, like in 2 seconds. It was really not that hard. And I'm gearing my my Talia and my it's only going to take me like another day to gear both characters to gear 10.
Just can't believe that I'm going to be gearing Talia. I mean, it's batshit crazy. It's like if you would have told me like a year ago Donald Trump is going to be president. I would have been like, "You're crazy, bro. What's going on?" And then you're like, but I'm telling you, it's all about Talia.
So what they need, by the way, they need the MK5 droid collars.
Those aren't that bad, honestly.
And then one of them, Asajj needed 50 Carbantes. Gearing the 3 new Nightsisters, specifically, they're a little bit more challenging to gear than the originals. How do we feel about their gear in the game in comparison to the Nightsisters who were already in the game, and how really relatively easy they are to gear in comparison? How do we feel about the gear as a whole for these new Nightsisters? Do we think it's fair what they have? Do we think it's a little bit overkill for these characters? What do you think about it as a whole?
I think it's fair. I mean, their gear looks average. I mean, Talsin might be a little on the higher end, but she's, you need a droid collar and a stun gun at gear 8. That's not a stretch.
Spirit looks pretty.
Another droid collar.
Wow.
Yeah,
Spirit is super easy to gear.
5 furnaces, which is kind of nice. Hypo syringes, here and there. It's really not that bad for Spirit, but I do resent having to gear a ghost. I mean, that's like,
Come on, they should be geared before they die.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel like she should just be instantly gear 11 for everybody.
Gear 12, you mean?
Which Nightsister is it, though? Is it Talia?
Yeah, I mean, you need for Mother Talsin, you need a bunch of holo projectors. You're gonna need Carbantes. You need at least 100 Carbantes for Talsin to get her to gear 11. And you're gonna also need 2 pieces of gold gear as well.
It's the eye that everybody needs, which sucks, but the eye's pretty easy to farm. I mean, she's really not that bad. I mean,
how do you think? Doesn't it seem a little strange though to you that like for someone coming into the game, starting to gear these Nightsisters, right? Don't you think it's a little weird that you're like, oh, look at how easy it is to gear these Nightsisters, and all of a sudden you get, Talsin, and you're like, holy crap, I need all this other gear that is...
She's not that bad. I mean, she has a...
In comparison, to the other Nightsisters. In comparison.
I still don't think she's that bad. Like, she doesn't... There's no raid gear requirements until gear 8, where you got a droid collar, and that's it. And then you move on to gear 9.
2 droid collars, 1 for gear 8 and 1 for gear 9.
Yeah, but I mean, just a gear 8, just 1 droid collar, that's not bad. I mean, a stun gun, that's a little annoying. The hollow projectors, those take a while, but besides that, like, up to gear 7 is extremely easy. Lots of the gear 7 gear and gear 8 gear, lots of it's just challenge gear, honestly.
Yeah.
And she's really not that bad up until you could get her to gear 10 pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the Carbantes, that...
Well, how
really
about this,
kinda
though?
kill them.
Arguably, what gear level do you guys think that it'll take for them to be viable?
10.
In arena?
Is it
gonna be
10?
In a
No, in raids.
late game arena shard. I would
Late game
say.
arena, you need 11.
I'm not saying arena, but just to make them work like resistance. You can get away with like 8, and you can do territory battles and
No, I think
and
10.
Galactic War and stuff.
I'd think 8's a good number.
But 10 is easy for most of them, right?
Yeah, and if you guys join up a guild like Sigma, you could get that raid gear extremely easily.
Well, not extremely, but yes.
I think the big question is, outside of arena, you're going to want them for the tank. And I think you're going to want gear 10 to do the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Galactic
You can probably
War,
survive on
Galactic War, they're going to be pretty good. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like they could go through with like a Galactic War at I think maybe one, maybe even 2 gear levels lower than your Galactic War, like who you're
I
fighting.
think gear 10 on the lesser Nightsisters, and then gear 8 on like the on Talsin, you could get through Galactic War.
Yep.
Pretty easily with that.
Galactic War is going to be a breeze with this team.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of a sneaky team, so you're going to be able to do some cool Galactic War stuff when you get to nodes that are normally really hard to beat.
Do you think full just gear 8 would be okay for them in Galactic War?
I don't think that would be a problem.
I mean, I'm thinking that they could, because the damage isn't based on them. They just kind of need to let the plague go.
Mm-hmm.
that kind of worries me on some of the later nodes, but I could see 8 being passable.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a throw-in team, you're like, oh, this is a crappy node. You could definitely throw some plague in there and drop a few people, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think it could be a good team to either use for like the first 7 nodes of Galactic War, and then use your better teams after that, or you could use it as a throwaway suicide squad for the last couple nodes to kill 1 character or 2 characters or something.
and yeah, like you said, up to gear 8, that costs like nothing. So that'd be a pretty easy gear investment.
Yeah, they're not bad to gear at all.
So if you're like I'm struggling a little bit in my Galactic War, I wish I just had 1 more team to help me out. I mean, that might be worth it.
That'd be a good team to just get to gear 8 and
super easy to farm. Throw a little minimal gear. It doesn't cost you a Zeta. You're like, all right.
Especially because you can get Talsin in the event. Now, here's a question for you guys. A early game player who's like, let's say level 30, 40, can they unlock Talsin in the event?
Yeah.
They can do that? They can get her unlocked?
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
think so. I think
Okay.
I can. I think on my alt I can get her. I'm like 43, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be that bad, honestly.
I should be able to get her.
If
That's
you can
great.
get
So
Talsin that early,
So you could pick her up and then just, bam, go forward.
Yeah, I think at like level 25 you can do it.
Yeah, she's a 2-star unlock, so she's going to be pretty easy to get.
Yeah.
That's great. Good for everybody. So yeah,
Two-star unlock means that she'll be available at level 20 usually.
Yeah.
Because they do
Okay.
20, 30, 40. That's how they usually do it, and then it goes up to the top tier or
easy.
whatever.
Mostly easy to gear is what I'm getting from everyone, though. Basically, right? So it's a pretty easy farm, pretty easy gear for the most part on the Nightsisters.
Yep.
I'm gonna make an account after this and see if I can get Talsin in one day.
Do it, man.
All right.
I think
Go
it'll
for
be
it.
cool. Because if you get her at level 20 or 30 and you have a few people with her, like who's gonna stop you at that level?
You can normally beat the first tier of the marquee events when you're in the 20s.
And it's
What I do is get Talsin, then don't get to 28 because Arena unlocks at 28. Get Talsin, then wait like till the event's over or a few days after, so that
Till
no
it
one
comes
else will have
back.
it. Well, yeah, cause then if you wait a while, you'll be on a shard where no one else has Talsin.
Yeah, he's saying like we'll do the event,
Right.
get Talsin, wait like 2 weeks, and then join a fresh shard where no one else has her,
And in that 2 weeks time, you can also be farming someone from Cantina.
and boom, easy.
So that gives just don't do any dailies.
That'd be fine, because she's gonna be nasty, man.
And then you could gear her pretty easily too. So
Yeah, like we said, if you don't have the tools to stop her, I mean, if it's early game, you don't have a lot of
I don't
tools.
have
It's gonna
anything.
suck.
I don't think there's very much like who are we talking about that could stop her? CLS, people like that.
But if you
TIE
just
fighter
started,
pilot.
yeah, exactly, you don't have that stuff. So,
TIE Fighter pilot is a good choice.
but you can't get him for a little bit. You know, you got to be like in the 40s to start picking him up.
This is a good transition to talk about on the unlock methods for Talsin and the other two Nightsisters and how we feel, what we think about it, and just what our general opinions are. So before we get into it, I'm just gonna mention how it works, just in case anyone here doesn't know or anyone that's listening doesn't know. The basics of it is to unlock Talsin, you've got two events. You've got one event to unlock her, which is the basic marquee event. And then you have an event where you have to take 5 Nightsisters at 5 stars to unlock more shards for her in order to get her starred up to higher star levels. Now, this event will be here on the 20th, okay? And it will return again later on. So, and it will be an event that will come back. We don't know when, we don't know how, we don't know how much. We don't know if it's going to be once a month, if it's going to be once every couple months. But this is an event that will come back. And yeah, let's start with Talsin and talk about how we feel about that, how they're doing her unlock. So, start with Brendo.
Okay, so I would say that I like the idea of doing the events. I think a lot of it has to do with how many times they come back, how many times you could do the event, how many times you could refresh it, how many times. Because, I'm worried about, the Wicked event, which is basically hey, it's going to be a recurring deal, but it never comes back. So then I start to feel like I'm sort of in a relationship with CG, is sort of like a bad relationship where I keep making excuses for their misbehavior, and it's they're going to change next time. Well, I don't know.
You reminded me really quickly. You reminded me that you can refresh it once, the first phase. And then the second one you can't refresh. You can only do it once. There's
Almost
2
like
phases.
like a Places of Power type thing or something like that. Assault battle.
Yes, sort of like an assault battle.
It'll be interesting to see, because the one I thought is an assault battle, but that's not this one.
That's
this
not what we're talking about.
Yeah, this one's more of a retooled version of the. I thought you could refresh this, do this one.
Okay, so here's how it works. I'll tell you how it works. Basically, what you've got is you've got the event that you unlock her with, right? Then you've got this event that we're talking about, which Defensive Dathomir is the event. You have to take a 5-star Nightsister team, and you're you're fighting so Dooku, and then you succeed and you earn shards for Night Mother Talsin in tier 1. You can win once, and you can be refreshed for Crinsels one more time each day the event runs. So you could do it twice every day they put the event out. We have no idea how many days the event will be out, how many times it will come back, or where or when or how any of that works.
They added the achievements for Defense of Dathomir in the Wicked event, which is that you have the 10. Yeah, which that might take 20 years at the rate that they're doing the Wicked.
No, we have no idea. So we know that it's runs on October 20th right now. After that, we have no idea how many times it runs. Right?
It's a month at least. It should be once a month or more, right?
I don't know. It could be once every couple months. That would be okay, I guess.
Do you think we'll continue to get Zetas from them?
No. Here's the deal: is what we're talking about. You need to understand that the first tier of this is to unlock Talsin at 7 stars. The second tier is when you have a 7-star Talsin. That's when you get the Zetas. Okay, only when you have a 7-star Talsin.
But I'm just saying, will it give us Zetas after you've completed it once?
It says Tier 2 is available to win once with no crystal refreshes each day the event runs.
Okay, but he's talking about
Because
like,
wait,
you
here's
know-
my question: why? Because look, maybe they're using it as a new way to farm Zetas. So that would make me think that once a month or something like that would make sense. 'Cause we need a way to pick up Zetas.
If you go into the game and you click on it, it shows that you get Zetas from it. I don't know. It's possible you could just get Zetas the first time, like they've done before. We'll have to wait and see.
Here, Valen, just off of what they're saying, it says succeed and earn 2 to 4 coveted Zeta ability bats. It sounds like it's going to be a once-a-day challenge or a once-a-week challenge or a once-a-month challenge. And once you have your 7-star Talsin, you will get Zetas every time you do it, which hopefully would be awesome. But you need to get the 7-star Talsin first.
As soon as I saw this, it was a red flag to me, and I was like, you know what? You're going to need Nightsisters now to farm Zetas. You know? Like, that was the first thing that I saw when I saw this event.
Well, but you only need them at 5 stars. So.
Right, but you need to, be able to win too.
Well, and you're farming. You need them at 7 stars to do the Zetas because you're going to need a 7-star Talsin for the Zeta part of it.
And most likely you'll need 7 stars to do Tier 2.
Do you guys honestly think this is going to be once a month?
I would love it actually if they did something like that.
If it gives you Zetas always, then I say for sure it's going to be.
You think so?
I actually hope it's once a week.
It's totally dependent on if we're getting Zetas, though, in my mind.
If it's only a one-time Zeta thing on the second tier.
I don't care if it's just going to be 1 Zeta once I get a 7-star Talsin. It's not worth it for me.
Yeah, exactly. But if it was, hey, every single time that it comes up, you get 1 Zeta out of winning it, I'm like, that's a great deal.
And not even the...
Well, it says 2 to 4.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. 2 to 4.
I would farm Nightsisters up right now if I could confirm that I was going to get Zetas out of it.
Yeah,
well, you won't.
Drop my Nightsisters. I would drop my Bounty Hunters for Nightsisters. Not really.
You won't, though. That's the thing. It's going to take a while because you have to use Tier 1 of the event to get a 7-star Talsin.
Right, I mean, I get that, but I'm just saying it's going to be, like, more important than having Scoundrels almost. It's like, whoa, Zetas, dude. That's big.
I hope.
But here's the problem. They only did Endor Escalation. This is the second time. It's been out for months. I
feel like that's not... That was a different case, and they reworked everything. You know?
See how it's different. It's essentially the same promise of having a repeatable event. I mean,
they messed up. They messed up. They put it out there. They didn't realize they didn't have it completely done. I don't think they had it completely done. I think they put it out there, and then people complained about what the requirements were and all this stuff, and so they went and they reworked it. And in reworking that, they also came up with this new structure for events that they're doing right here and now with the Nightsisters. So I think that...
I hope they do this.
Yeah.
To see this done once a week. This would be awesome. To be able to get 2 to 4 Zetas once a week after you get your Talsin, that would be awesome.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think they might do once a month type thing, but once a week's a bit much.
I don't think they want everyone to have a 7-star Talsin in a few months.
Does everybody agree, though, that it's going to be a recurring event that you're going to get Zetas for?
100%.
Whatever the increment is going to be, we don't know if it'll be a week or a month or how long, but it's going to be something that if you have Talsin, you got your ladies ready to go, they're going to be pulling from Zetas back for you.
I'm not comfortable saying that yet. I don't want to say that, and then we're wrong, and then everyone gets pissed off because they're like, "Oh, I went and I went."
But that's the words we were given. Like if you're reading it, that's what they're saying.
They're not saying.
No, they are literally saying that. They're saying
it's word for word right there. Is it?
It's repeatable.
Succeed. What they say is Tier 2 unlocked only when you have a 7-star Mother Talsin. Battle a vastly more powerful incarnation of the Separatist forces with the 7-star units of your own. Succeed and earn 2 to 4 coveted Zeta ability materials. Tier 2 is available to win once with no crystal refresh each day the event runs. That's all they said.
Each day the event runs. So that means more than once.
But they didn't confirm that the Zetas you'd get every day. They just said the event can be runs every day.
But it says you get 2 to 4 Zetas. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like this is a new challenge where instead of 1 to 2 Zetas potentially in the Zeta challenge, you're getting. Well, the question is it going to be like the Zeta challenge and you have a chance to get 2 to 4? At which point you will never.
Yeah.
You'll never.
It's a pretty set sentence. It says
it's like
succeed
said,
and earn.
Instead of them being required for a new mod challenge or something, it seems like they're going to be required for the new Zeta challenge. So they are going to be, fitting in somewhere important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is kind of what we were saying that we're missing. Like what Thane brought up, he's like, maybe you want to go Empire because you could get your potency mods out. But hey, if you got your Nightsisters early, you might be getting Zetas. Who knows what level you'll be able to start getting them at too,
Yeah.
And it may
As soon as there are 7 stars and able to beat it, you can get Zetas.
So
Believe me,
yeah.
this is not going to be quick. This is going to be. You need to get Talsin. You need to have Talsin 7-star. That's going to take time. Who knows how long? And then you could do it.
Yeah.
But the Talsin's the key.
Well, see, there's going to be whales who have her at 7 stars in the beginning because of the packs that are going to be able to do this. This is the problem. This is a problem I have, right? Because whales are going to be able to be getting even more Zetas now, if that's the case. And it's going to take us normal people to go in and spend months and months and months to get a 7-star Talsin. And then we finally will be able to get more mods. Whales are going to be vastly more ahead of us if this was a monthly event where you got Zetas for. You know,
Well, there's a
do you see
price
what I'm
for
saying?
paying.
Oh, okay.
But they're making that price steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper. You see what I'm saying?
Valen, they're really not, because there's no way to get Zetas as a whale. There's no whale way to get Zetas. Same way we do.
I know, but now they're making a whale way to get Zetas in a way, if you know what I mean. Do you
See
what
this
I'm
because
saying?
it's not refreshable. If it was refreshable, then yeah, I could see that.
Well,
but it's
no,
really
I agree.
Talsin.
I agree. No refresh to me is a big indicator. You can't even refresh it. So yeah, that's not a whale friendly thing.
I agree. Yeah. Like
well, my
Refresh
point,
is whale friendly. You know, some of the refreshes go up to 800 crystals and stuff. You can't even touch this one. That's a pretty big indicator.
but what I'm saying with whale friendly is whales can get Night Mother Talsin to 7 stars immediately
Of course they
and then
can.
start doing this right
I
away.
understand that you think that's possibly whale friendly, but think about it. How many more Zetas are they gonna get? Like 2 more Zetas, and then
2 to
next,
4 a month.
Next month they go around. If it's
Well,
monthly.
How
next
many
month they go
shards do we
around.
get?
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
many shards do we get?
They
per
haven't said that.
participants here?
For Talsin, you're saying? I don't know.
They didn't say.
It seems like it's not
Okay,
gonna be like
that's-
5. It seems like it's gonna be a decent amount.
No
Oh,
idea.
I'd guess 10, because that's what you get
And
for
think
Wicked.
about it. Even if you can't, for example, the whales can only refresh the regular one once, right? Is that what you said? You can only refresh the first one once, the first tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's extremely whale like unfriendly. It's more fair, I guess.
Right.
This looks way more fair.
I like this way of unlocking a character way more than being like, okay, here's a marquee event, and then wait 3 months for us to put the character in some random place. You know
Let
what
me
I
just
mean?
clarify something though. Marquee events are whale events. I mean, between the packs that you're going to have for her and, I mean, the marquees, the whale style.
Yeah,
The
I get it.
legendary is more the free to play. But thank-
No. Legendaries are. I feel legendaries are definitely whale friendly. If with CG's notorious 2-day notices, give a 2-day
and
notice, whales just buy the characters.
And honestly, I feel like the marquee is more free to play friendly because you get the character. At least you get the character, right? In the other way, you don't even get the character as a free to play.
yeah, but they're unusable characters. You just don't have them unlocked, so it feeds into the Pokemon mentality.
Yeah, but you can use them for fun. Like you can go into Galactic War. That's the thing is it's nice. You can start gearing them, getting them ready,
Or at least
for when they
start
do become
gearing
free to
them.
play. Yeah.
True. You can, yeah, you absolutely can. But I just feel like they just give you the taste, and then you want to bite a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. But I like I said, I think I like this. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you like them adding an event to where you can unlock a character once a month more than waiting 3 months for that character to become free
I
to play?
think if you look at the trend, they did all the marquee events, and then they came out with officially, this is what we're doing now, and then they stopped doing what they said they were doing.
Whoa.
And
You know, it just clicked on me. This is what's going on, I feel like. What if they just alternated the Wicket event and the Nightsister event, and it did go monthly to get Zetas? That would make a lot of sense. And it requires opposite factions, one dark, one light.
Sure.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and if you look, they're both
With the
going to be
Wicket-
active this week, too.
Arius, the Wicket one gives you mods. Remember that they have.
Yeah,
like,
so I
Right, but
think
I'm
they're
saying,
going to
yeah,
run
one
at the
week it'll
same
give you
time.
mods, one week it'll give you mods, and then next week it'll give you Zetas. But I'm saying they'll take the same slot in your day. That's what I'm saying.
So do you
Not
think
the
that
same
they'll
rewards.
you think they'll run opposite because right now they're running at the same time?
Yeah, so I think they're putting them both in right now, kind of playing them out, and then once they find their timing, maybe they'll alternate.
yeah,
Let's hope they come back. That's all I hope for. I don't care about the frequent. I'd love to see it happen at least once or twice a month. So have at it.
So you like this?
I see them putting
as a
these things
whole.
somewhere.
As a whole, you like the idea of this.
remember when they did the marquee events, and then they said, this is our new plan, or this is our new release cadence, And then they stopped. They just never did that after they officially announced it. They just came up with back-to-back legendaries. I think this is their way of saying, like, we really like the way legendary events work, and we really like those requirements, but we're going to go back kind of to the old cadence system type thing. So I feel like this is a mix between the old marquee events and how recently they've had like 1,000 legendary events coming out.
So that way, it's not really a legendary event, but
it's still, you know,
sort of easier to
it's
get.
accessible to everyone, but you have to really be dedicated to get 7 stars.
Which is okay, because not everyone's going to care about Talsin.
Exactly. Like, for example,
but the people that do will go for it.
Exactly. People who love Nightsisters will go get Nightsisters, but people who don't really care will just ignore it.
Man, if she's giving Zetas, I'm gonna care real quick.
Yeah.
These ladies gonna need to put up some Zetas for me.
Something though about this. I like the idea. I like the way they're using events to unlock characters. That's awesome. It's new. It's different. But it all comes down to how frequently we're going to get it. So it could be good or bad.
Well, let's talk about this in a month when we have that information.
Yeah.
If it's once a month, 2 to 4 Zetas, that's still good numbers in my mind. That's like quite an increase.
Yes, I don't understand why you don't see that you need the 7-star Talsin first. Like it could take you.
I'm just saying down the line, it doesn't matter, but it's still going to be a place you can get Zetas consistently. There's nothing like that in the game.
I would hope by the time we have 7-star Talsins, there are other better ways to get Zetas that are more
Maybe so, but they haven't shown us anything like that yet. This is the first time they rolled something out and said, "Hey, guess what? When this comes out, you're going to get Zetas from it every time it comes up."
So instead of
even the flash events, you only got it the first time, you know?
So instead of complaining about the fact that it may be a while before we get to do it, let's just be happy that they added another freaking way to get Zetas into the game.
Yeah, I'm pumped. You know? I'm like, dude, I would level up Cup if he's giving me Zetas, dude.
Dream Squad Cup.
I try to be positive a little bit about these things, you know? Okay, so we talked a little bit, we talked about Mother Talsin's unlock. I want to very quickly just go on to the Ghost of Dathomir event and talk about how we unlock the zombie and the spirit and what we think about that and how that's going to work. So let me just go through the information a little bit here in case people don't know. So the Ghost of Dathomir event runs October 31st starting at 7 a.m. UTC. There are no forced units required for this event, so you can bring anybody you want. The event is level banded starting at level 20 and increasing every 10 levels after that. All players can participate once they have unlocked the event feature. Play Tier 1 and unlock the Zombie and the Spirit units. A bonus tier with more generous reoccurring rewards of these 2 Nightsisters is available starting at level 70 and above. Players will be able to win this event once. The event can then be refreshed for crystals for 1 additional play each day the event runs. Make sure to play the tier with the rewards you want the most. Ghost of Dathomir will be the exclusive source of Nightsister Zombie and Nightsister Spirit shards through gameplay, so be sure to participate in this event each time it appears. As with Advanced Tactics, you will receive a push notification to alert you when the event is running. So, what do we think about this and this way of unlocking these 2 new characters?
I'm just gonna jump the gun right here and come out with I personally love it because
I hate it.
Of course you do, Brendo.
Oh, Brendo, come on, Brendo. But
yeah, there's no rebels. I don't like it.
Yeah, come on. But
you can run rebels in the event if you want. Go for it.
Oh snap! But in all seriousness, it's kind of like the old marquee events too, but reoccurring. And if you look at the rewards, there's actually Zetas in that. I think those Zetas are one-time Zetas though for the last 2. That's what it sounds like. But like imagine that. Kind of like imagine a marquee event. You unlock the character to say 3 stars with a couple shards in, and then every month or so, however long it repeats, we're gonna get like another, I don't know, 15 to 20 shards based on how much that last tier gives you. It's like a marquee event that is friendly towards people who are dedicated. That's just the overall message I'm getting from this Nightsisters. If you're dedicated to getting them, every month you're going to have a chance to get them, and you're going to progress farther than people who aren't dedicated to getting them.
All right, so you like it overall. I like it too, personally. Brendo hates it, so let's hear from him for a second.
Let's see why you hate it.
No, you guys go. And then
Okay.
I'll try.
Brandon seems like he's got something to say now. So Brandon, why don't you give us what you
Yeah.
think about it?
I'm excited about it because it gives a lot of people a lot of chances to get higher stars, especially at the start, because it's like with the marquee events where you're getting at least 3 stars guaranteed. And it also allows then, if you are going to run it out, it could be characters you could use raids, arena, like was mentioned earlier, which are going to give to you for free with no requirements. You need like certain factions for RGD2, for EP, for all these characters. With these, you just need to use your regular team, which would give you another new arena team, new raid team, anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And you can do it twice.
Yeah.
Every time it comes around, so that's double the amount of shards that you get. So let's say they give you 10 per, that means you get 20 every time. But let's discuss this for a second.
It's got to be more than that, though, right? I mean, if it was only 10, it's going to take me the rest of my life to get.
Wicked's 10.
Yeah,
So,
so that's why I think they'll be changing it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, they still want to incentivize people to buy the characters if you want. You know what I mean? If you're a whale, so like they want to make it a little bit of a slow burn. Like, I don't think they want everybody to have these guys in a couple months. I think it's going to take at least 6 months, if not 8 months, to get these guys to 7 stars.
Well, here's my problem. Like, I like having Talsin unique, and I like being able to farm her through a recurring event like Wicked. I'm fine with that. They got me. But it's the zombie and the spirit that they lose me, because it's going to be really difficult and time-consuming, I think, to get them up to 7-star. So now, instead of like really what they're doing is they're saying, okay, you could get these free-to-play through a time wall. That's probably more brutal than if they put them on the Cantina or in hard nodes or in a store.
To butt in, sorry, but would you rather have a time wall or a paywall?
Well, it is a paywall, because your
It is a
other
paywall.
option is you could buy them. So really what they're doing is they're saying, if you're going to whale, you just buy these characters because nobody else is going to get them for months and months and months. It would probably be quicker to farm them if they put them on
Okay, but here's the
It could
question.
be quicker to farm them.
Do you want them to have every character released the same way? I feel like it's good to have different ways of unlocking characters. I don't want them to do this.
That's why I like Talsin. I was fine with Talsin. But to make the 2 secondary characters, like what's the equivalent of Sith Assassin and Sith Trooper here, to put them, which, by the way, they put them both on hard 20 energy Cantina. It's not like those are easy characters to get.
No, they're not.
But like, I mean, remember, most likely you're going to be able to get 20 shards of once a month. It's going to take forever. Not to mention,
how more painful is it to add them to a hard node when you already have to go after Captain Han Solo, and then you have to go after the Nightsisters now for the 7-star Nightsister event, and then you have to go after there's all sorts of characters I already have to focus on for the hard node, or not the hard nodes, but for the Cantina battle nodes.
Exactly.
So I'd much rather
to have a different way. Like, for example, your currency focuses, like earlier game, your currency focuses. There's a lot of people you want in Arena, a lot of people Galactic War. Like, would you rather have them shove more characters into already oversaturated areas of the game, or add new features where you can?
Honestly, I would rather have them. And I would rather have these 2 characters put into places that are overcrowded. Because one thing is, you need those characters you need them if you're going to run a Nightsister team. Talsin should be the hard one. Instead, like, people complain about having First Order have 2 hard node only characters, but this is going to be worse. This is going to be 3 characters, 4 Nightsisters that are essential that you need under a time wall.
But the difference is, these are ancillary characters, in my opinion. Like, they're great, and they're going to be amazing, and I think they're going to be fun and a great team, but you don't need them, right?
Exactly.
Need them on
you could just as well run, like, in place
of raids. I think you're going to need some of these characters for raids.
Yeah, but if you don't want, you can wait on that. It's not completely necessary to run.
This game isn't about unlocking everything 7-star immediately.
No, And I understand that, but my point, and this goes back to what we were talking about when we're talking about recommending teams. The Nightsister farm might take us. I mean, really, if you get 20 shards once a month, you're talking what, a year? A year to get these characters? That's harsher than any time wall that's in the game already. And if you're going for Nightsisters for raids and PvP, if that's the team you want to play, I would rather be able to control it a little bit. And you can't. You either can buy them with money, or you could. And it looks like the low end being pretty, like, the most brutal way is going to be 20 shards a month for each of those.
Well, let's
I guess in that
imagine-
case-
let's imagine it's not 20 shards a month though, because it does seem kind of a stream. Imagine if it was bi-weekly, trading off 1 week Ewoks next week.
I'd love it if it was bi-weekly. If it was bi-weekly, sure, you're going to get 40 shards a month. That's equivalent to a light side, dark side hard mode.
Yeah, I think it's. I think they should be. Honestly, I think they should be applauded for trying to find new ways to bring characters into the game.
Exactly.
That's free to play, even if it's going to be a long time. It's not that big of a deal because there's other raid teams, there's other teams for other things. Like, I don't think they're going to require the Nightsisters for Dark Side territory battles. Like, I don't think they're going to be on a node or anything. But I think that they're going to be useful for that. But you don't need.
They're going to be really good in territory
They're going to
battles.
be really good for that. But I don't think you're going to absolutely need them for it, right?
No,
you
you're
know.
going to want them for lack of.
Sure. Sure. I'm not saying you won't. But until you get Talsin and everyone up, you can just use the free-to-play Nightsisters, who are much easier to farm than these ones, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like substitutions almost. Like once
Yeah.
once you get zombie and once you get spirit, just pop one out, pop one in, easy.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to complain, really.
All I'm
in
hoping
my
is that they work out this this unlock stuff. So it, like, extreme long term here. Once they come out with bounty hunters, I'm like the only one who can get them, and no one else can.
Yeah, funny. I don't want. Here's what I don't want.
Harsh.
I'll tell you what. Well, wait, I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want every character release to be like this from now on. Okay. Because
That would be really overwhelming.
They do this. They find a new way to release characters, and then for a while they just do that.
Yeah,
Right?
It
You know
just
what I
gets
mean?
it gets so what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now, but I guess
Yeah, so
like,
give us a very next month. Give us some characters that are like just marquee events that they're gonna throw into hard nodes with the cadence that they talked about. Give us a legendary. The month after that, maybe give us another event like this in combination with some other marquee characters. I don't know. Just mix it up. I like having a different stuff to do.
yeah.
I think the word is oversaturated. What you're looking.
No, I already said
Yes.
oversaturated. I was looking for a different word having to do with water.
Water?
Yeah, water.
Trendy,
like,
but
I guess-
trendy doesn't have to do with water.
I guess drenched, kind of, but not really.
Drenched.
Not really.
Drenched in
Like
content.
pulling the water out of something. What's pulling the water out of something? Suck. Yes, it's like they're sucking the life out of one.
Yeah,
way
they
to go.
definitely are.
Yeah.
Really are, dude.
Yeah, I figured it
So,
out. Yep.
One of the things that I want to say, because I think this is important, is that a lot of people in the community, and I hear this on a lot of podcasts, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but people complain about the amount of content. And it's like, look, you're not meant to be able to, or you're not supposed to do everything that's in the game. I just don't think you are. I don't think that that's what's intended for you to be able to do.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
If you're like, hey, there's too much content, do me a favor and shut up.
Yeah,
I
like
hate when people say that. That's
hate
just like, just leave.
I
You're
get
killing it for
excited.
everybody who actually likes to play this game.
yeah.
Exactly.
I love the game, and whenever there's new content, I get excited about it because look, there's a new thing to do. Even if I can't complete it.
Yeah,
like,
even if you
what?
can't get in there yet, at least it gives you like, oh, dude, I'm gonna work on this guy. I'm gonna get that.
Exactly.
Something to
Territory
look
battles
for.
does that for me. The Ewok event does that for me. I'm not going to be able to
Territory
complete.
battles does that for me.
Exactly, and I enjoy it. But what I
dream.
hear is people complaining, and we need to stop because they're just trying to give us stuff to do. Now there's only one part of that. It's like, let's try to work on the time stuff, like specifically take away the timed aspect from some stuff, you know, because the 20 I like territory battles because it's a 24-hour period. Make most things like that in the game, and try to get rid of this time stuff, because not everyone's going to be available at noon or at 2 or at 3 or whatever to do this stuff. That's the only complaint that I would have, that would say let's try to just make the game more playable whenever you're available. Kind of going along with that, I guess foresight for the game in general. I feel like to make this Nightsister release and to make any future releases better is, like, for example, Territory Battles released, Gear 11 and Gear 10, like, hat gear is still just as hard to get. I feel like with this Nightsister release and with future releases, whenever you release one thing, the previous thing should be easier for people to get.
Oh, you know what? That's the big problem with this game, and I could go on for days about it, but the short version is there's no difference now between the acquisition of gear from Gear 7 to 8 as there is from Gear 11 to 12. It's just as hard as it was a year ago to get your Gear 8, Gear 9.
Gear 10 to 11 is a lot easier, I feel, with the addition of the Territory Battle store and the Shard Shop store for
but I'm not spending my Territory Battles currency on some shitty Gear 10 gear that I can farm in light side energy.
Well, that's your decision. For me, it's made it a lot easier to push entire teams of characters up to Gear 11, which is
crazy. I never thought I'd do it, but I do the Territory Battle store for raid gear. I do it for stun cuffs. And
me too. And stun guns.
Stun guns, stun cuffs.
I'll third that. And taking my guys up to Gear 12 is what I use it for as well.
Yep.
Just to be able to get
not buying the 12 pieces, but getting me up to 12.
Oh, I buy the 12 pieces of stun guns.
I mean, maybe just because I focus on a specific team that shall remain unnamed, that are already, high enough.
Yeah, but what happens when you're done with them? What are you going to focus on? Like, you're going to focus on other stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can start playing teams that are good in Arena.
Damn.
Hey, man, my Sith are still making it. I was ranked 2 yesterday, so no hate.
Bounty hunters are keeping me top 100.
So mostly we're...
You guys are like fossils. I love it.
Go on,
Rank
Brendo.
2, baby. Rank 2. Just saying.
Comes back.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
I guess
how it comes back.
Ready to close this part out?
Yeah, so I think basically we all agree that the events are kind of cool. It's a new, interesting way to unlock these characters the free-to-play way, and we all kind of like that. Is that true across the board for the most part?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Especially if we get Zetas. Don't forget that, man. We're getting Zetas on top of unlocking some shards. Whoa. I get Talsin and Zetas.
Yes, after.
Yeah, but still, you know what I mean.
But yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm doing that to get Talsin, but as a reward for finishing my Talsin, I also get Zetas. Right? Whoa, yeah. That's the first legendary that's really like that. Every other one you unlock them, and it's like, oh, well, I'm glad you did that.
Yep, I got this, and now I'm never.
And now it's over. My
great
squad.
Thing is,
I never got to go do them again. That was it. I got Thrawn, one and done.
The thing I love about this is you don't have to get the Nightsisters to 7 stars to get Talsin to 7 stars. You need them at 5. That's it. So you really don't have to go crazy with the Nightsisters to get Talsin to 7, which is pretty awesome, I think.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. I think it looks like this Nightsister launch and relaunch and rework could be the most fun thing they've done in the game. I mean, I say that sincerely. It looks like it's going to be
the most important thing, though? Just having fun, honestly?
Fun, yeah.
It is. It is. My concerns are just simply like me using like the guesses of what's happened in the past to determine what they'll do in the future. But that's just it. If they do this and they keep it consistent and regular, this is going to be really cool.
I think we just need to wait for more information on that and see what happens.
Yep.
Comes back every Halloween, I'm going to be unhappy,
Yeah.
That's
hey, right. Don't forget to plug 1020 to 1022 double drops Nightsisters.
Yes, 1020 and 1022 Nightsister double drops, everyone. That's gonna be what you want to do. Go for them, man. Just go for them for those 2 days.
Yep, I could do them Zetas, them tasty Zetas. All right, Birdo, you want to do the honors?
Yeah, the bird's making the noise. That's the signal.
All right. The birds are cooing, so it is time for the future whales to depart and hit the oceans again as we wrangle money and booty
Ooh, booty.
So, yeah, anybody want to say goodbye here?
I mean,
Goodbye here.
goodbye here.
All
Goodbye
right,
here.
yeah. Hope everyone enjoyed the podcast again, and
Yeah,
we'll see you next time.
Gamma Master
and
Race.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Just do all that stuff. Let's get 30,000 likes on this video, guys.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, biggest video ever, Nightsisters. Awesome.
Nightsisters, woo.
What's our views like, by the way? Like
I don't
on
know.
YouTube? How is that? Have we been growing at all?